we're up here like on the Coleman side, way up now, and I heard you touch on a lot of guys were fishing that run-in. It's going to be real popular. The area we're in now is, just to throw it out there, it's called Major Millers or Miller Flats. So it's something a little bit different than actually fishing a run-in in the back of the creek. There was a lot of boats fishing here, and this is a real popular area. And I just wanted to see something different. I'll tell you one thing about, there's a little tidbit on Smith too, is you got guys that are up, I mean, there could be catching spots, but you see the center console there, there's probably catching striper too. And it's a good sign on Smith when you're around striper guides in general, because those stripers tend to follow the herring. That's the bigger spots tend to be around those herrings. So that's a little key pointer, pro pointer right there is, you know, obviously you're around some fish because there's 45 boats around us. We've seen a couple small fish catches, but nothing crazy yet. Still trying to get our bearings and figure out who's in the tournament, who's not. Maybe they all are. What boat number they are. We're dialing in and trying to stay out of everybody's way and watch somebody catch a monster.
If there's 45 boats out there, I can't blame them. It's a fishing morning, and it's like, it's what you want. So I don't know if you heard this, Matt, and it sounds like Luke's in now. We started on Craig Daniels and Wesley Sams. Dude, within like 5 minutes, they caught a big one. I don't know how big it was, but I'm going to say it was in the 4-pounder range. And a few minutes later, they caught a 3-pounder. And their next spot, they caught another keeper, looked to be a 2-ish pounder. So they're on tear already. And this is already their 3rd spot. But man, they're catching them already. They've probably caught, I believe, 2 short fish and then had 3 or 4 more bites. And every time they have a bite, Wesley looks back and he hollers something funny. But man, like you said, fish are biting this morning. I know that
yes.
Luke, Miss Kay said that you were running towards the Anayas.
Right here.
And I heard you hollering in my ear. It says, looks like they're scoping.
Yeah, sorry, my app got hung open. Open throttle there for a second. I was in your ear when I wasn't trying to be, Darian. I apologize. Yeah, we have caught up with Fisher and Ryan, and they looks like they got a little two-prong approach this morning. They have no fish in the boat to report just yet, but we got Ryan is throwing at the bank, and you'll see Fisher kind of pan out and do a little scoping, but then they go back to the bank. So it's a little bit of both. We've seen them fish docks so far, seeing some swim baits going on, some shaky heads, but then Fisher will turn around out there and do the scope thing, and you know, I heard you guys mention that earlier. It's in a team event. It's really neat watching kind of that you know, that orchestration that everybody they've got kind of an order to what they do, and they work together. You've got one guy that'll really focus on the live scope, and they're either both trying to focus on that, you know, like I think you said, Darian, follow, you know, one partner will follow the other's bait, because if you're not right on the trolling motor, sometimes it is very difficult to scope. So you'll see that, but then in the area that these guys are in, they can also throw to the bank. So you got a little bit of both going on. Several boats in here. It's going to be a good day. And Darian, I want to point out, Jason Duran, we've got Matt Lee with us today. I know you guys have said that we're grateful to have Matt, but Jason Duran, it sounds like he passed his fish luck on to you, Darian. You started hot this morning.
Man, we started hot and heavy, and dude, I got to start with, as soon as you were doing you were still doing the national, or the boat check, or boat blast off, and they had already caught one. But I thought of you first thing. As soon as we pull up there, Craig is sight fishing, and to be able to start your Saturday morning watching Craig sight fish is a treat. It was fun to watch, and I ended up not catching that one, but
yeah,
he did that number of like. He held his hands out, and it was like 2 Subway footlongs is how big he said this one is. Like a great old big one. It was wider than his waist, I know that.
And Darian did touch on it, but Luke, that was a beautiful rendition of the national anthem you did this morning. That was awesome. Yeah.
Well, listen, you give me a kazoo, you never know what's going to happen, Matt, and I'm just glad it was in the right key.
Man, it fired me up, dude. I was running about 52, and as soon as you got going on the course, he got trimmed up to about 70, and we were just going. I think that yeah, like you talked about that start this morning with catching the big ones early. Yeah, to me, like it's true all the time fishing, but run-ins are going to play a huge factor. The time of day, so to catch a couple big ones. You know, a lot of people are catching fish right now. The little bit we've been watching, just seeing people catching fish, it's just about catching size. And if you can get a couple big ones out of the way early and know as the day goes on, that just helps you out even more. I mean, that's so true all the time, but definitely this morning. I think when you target run-ins on Smith Lake, to me, it's you catch fish everywhere, all over the lake, in any kind of run-in, but knowing where those bigger ones are at is huge, and you have a gazillion pockets to choose from. So that the big ones aren't everywhere, and like a 4 and a 3 early. I mean, I think no doubt it'll be a 20-pound plus day today to take this, and the weather we've had, and it's going to be lights out.
Yep, I agree.
We got somebody on the point of it here.
My statement about the run-ins was, like, with the water that we've got, or the rain that we've got, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of different things going on. Like I've seen people just fishing down the bank. You're also seeing people like Luke's on the NIs, they're scoping, and then there's run-ins too. So like the rain, when it happens in the spring on Smith, it opens up a bunch of different kinds of fishing. And I've seen it, like we fished an ABT that was one only on run-ins, and guys that's the only thing that they were doing. But we've already seen multiple guys this morning who are doing all of those patterns. Like Luke mentioned, the NIs are fishing on the bank and then look over to, on the screen, see a fish on live scope and cast at it. Luke, I wanted to touch on that. That was actually a big topic last week at Lake Martin, which is very similar to Smith, obviously. But the Miller brothers, there was 2 young guys doing that exact same thing, fishing down the bank, just like regular fishing, casting on the bank, casting at stuff, but their eyes never left the screen. It's like they were casting at the bank using their peripheral vision, and then just staring at live scope, panning out to the deeper water, and as soon as they would see a fish, pick up a spinning rod and pitch over to it. Pretty unique. We watched them for a while, and they did really well doing that, kind of like, I would say, non-traditional new way of fishing.
Well, I think what we've got going on, go ahead, Luke. No, I was going to say what we've got going on, and I think, Matt, you'll agree with this, is not all the fish have ever done the same thing at the same time, right? So we're all thinking they're going to be up here getting close to spawning, but with these spots in particular, I mean, I can remember being on Smith or on a place like Lake Hartwell, where these fish roam a lot. You can be looking at one on the bed, and then all of a sudden they'll come up schooling behind you. So I think with this new age of fishing we're seeing, it's very smart to kind of keep your eyes peeled on that graph while you throw at the bank too, and the ones that have got that dial the most are going to be really dangerous today.
Yes, I think we have all the conditions to make it like wide open. They should be on the bank spawning. Like it is, we're missing the full moon a little bit, and the water level, you can see where we're at. Like the bushes, you can see the water line. It's a real shallow flat, and the 2 feet that we're missing to have it full pool-ish is a lot up there on the bank. And I think in the past several years, we've had so many different water conditions. We've had it where it's like 4 foot over full pool before now, and then we've had it like come in, end of March and be really high and flooded. And this year it's low still, but yet the water temperature is, I don't have all mine pulled up, but it's been in the low 60s, and that is really warm, but yet the lake's not full. And I think a lot of those spotted bass, there's a lot spawning, but like you said, they're kind of waiting for that lake to get full, and it's getting fuller every day. So it's just so much changing right now. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody really gets on a tear this afternoon and catches them in a place that they really weren't at yesterday, and that's how much it's changing. Because it coming up a quarter foot, half a foot every day, and then the water getting dirtier, it's getting warmer. Somebody's gonna you know, catch 3 big ones down a bank that maybe they didn't even fish yesterday or didn't catch one. So it'll be, yeah, literally.
Literally, as you were saying that, Wesley Sams is in the back of this boat we're watching, and he said we're a week away from this thing being crazy. It literally, as you were just saying that it's changing every day and they're waiting, it came out of Wesley's mouth. We were sitting right beside him, and he said we're a week away from this place being wide open. But I think you're.
Well, thanks, Darian, and thanks,
exactly
Wesley. Make me look. Yes.
They confirmed. Yeah, he did. He made you. That was perfect timing.
I'll Venmo you both some money right now, okay? I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, don't leave my Venmo out on that, Matt. Make sure you get the third Venmo in there. I didn't do anything,
Hey,
but
come
I
on now.
appreciate the
Hey.
residual income.
Yeah. Well, the way you did that national anthem this morning, you deserve it. So, all right.
I feel like I do deserve it.
Did Luke actually sing the national anthem this morning?
Yes, Darian. You should support your friends more. You should have known that.
I don't believe this.
I
Honestly,
practiced.
I don't believe you.
Well, I nailed it. Some people were saying it was
I don't know if y'all are
the
joking
best
or
they'd
not.
ever heard. Some people were saying that it was the worst they've ever heard. It's really mixed reviews.
I'm just glad I'm glad Darian's here, because if it's just me and Luke, we probably would not be focusing on the guy. We would get off on. It'd be noon, and we'd still be talking about the national anthem. Hadn't give one on the water update yet.
Just glad Kay believes in my singing abilities, you know?
Gosh, I'm telling you, the blood got flow. There's not many times that I'm on the water doing coverage and don't have a rod in my hand and like, actually, I really don't know if I'm trying to get out of somebody's way, or I don't even know where I'm going, and I'm just running, and we're about to make a little bit of move. I want to see, I want to check a couple places that I have, you know, for those that don't know, I have location of several anglers on the iPad that I can look at, but also I'm thinking about other places that I would probably try to fish, and there's one place that this boat, you know, I'm going to check some places that I might fish and see who's around and see if they're catching it too. It's really weird the position I'm in, because I can, you know, go anywhere, do anything, check anybody. So I don't want to move around too much. I want to give y'all some updates, but we're going to make a quick move and see if we can get over it.
Sounds like
Let's move.
Darian and Matt are going to make some moves, and we're still hanging in here with the Anais, Fisher and Ryan. Got that Rapala boat. I imagine there's some Crush City plastics going on over here right now with Mr. Fisher doing some scoping. And a couple boats in this area, which is not a surprise. This is a really popular area on Smith, especially this time of year, but a little bit of mix. You've got the Anais, like I said. Oh, Ryan with a swing and a miss right there. But you've got the Anais really kind of doing a combo. You got Fisher doing some scoping, you got Ryan fishing the bank, fishing docks, and then they'll both turn their attention out. And then a couple of the other boats are just fishing the banks in here. You know, I've talked a lot lately about the youth movement we're seeing in the sport. You know, it's a bit of a hot button topic with Trey McKinney winning the Bassmaster Elite Series, and so many of the rookies that you've seen really coming in and holding their own. And Fisher's one of those young men that's still a high school angler, puts in a ton of time on the water, has a lot of success in events. Had a great event at Pickwick with no practice. Got a lot of hours on Smith. Fisher, am I good right here? You need me to back up? I've got my graphs off, but I don't want to get in your way. Fisher's gonna catch one right in front of my trolling motor. These crazy spots are trying to swim over here and see us. They know I got tenderloin biscuits on the boat. They're over here trying to get a bite. I got the dog stirred up. I don't know. There's all kind of stuff going on. There's some dogs on a rabbit over here or something. That's probably Gerald Swindle. He's released the hounds on us. What it sounds like. So, guys, we've been talking a little bit on live. Y'all look like you got a two-pronged approach, Ryan. So you just let him do the scoping and you just kind of peek over his shoulder and throw at other stuff? Or how does that work with both of y'all with scoping being in play?
It's kind of just, it's a one-man game, really. I'm just a backup back here. I'm just dragging around. I'm pulling a Tommy Swindle.
Ryan says he's just a backup. He said scoping's kind of a one-man game. He's pulling a Tommy Swindle. Shout out Poppy. She says he's got one smelling his bait there, just won't bite it.
Okay.
Welcome back, Darian, to the Alabama House Live, presented by Amherst. Did you go get a snack or something, Darian? What'd you go do?
Yeah, I got me a snack. There's a lady up here. There's a lady up here cooking a biscuit, a little breakfast, and she rang a little dinner bell, and I walked up, grabbed the biscuit, hugged her neck, told her about Brent again, kept running. You know what I mean? It was one of them deals.
They're just one of them things. One of them things.
One of them things. No, we're back again. This is gonna be our last time we're chasing these guys around. We wanted to start with them this morning, but we're gonna let them run after this next little run. But they're just bouncing around the same area, fishing like the same things, but covering a lot of water. Like Craig said, we're gonna cover a bunch of water. Y'all hang tight. So they're, again, started on bedfish. That was the very first thing they went to. Caught two big ones out of the gate. Did not catch the big one, it sounded like, but I don't know how big it was, but it was big. Now they're just fishing the bank. It looks pretty old school. They've a mix-up of baits, but a lot of shaky heading from Wesley in the back, and then a lot of just reeling a swim bait, reeling a crankbait from Craig, and just old school fishing. And they're just, I mean, Smith Lake, springtime, that's what they're doing. And I think they just know from years on the water, and I said earlier, decades on the water, they just know where to do that at the best for the highest percentage to win these kind of tournaments. And you see throughout the year, I mean, how many times in a year do you see Craig Daniels' name or Wesley's name at the top of the leaderboard on Smith Lake? It's a lot. Out of 52 weekends, it's several of them throughout the year. And I think that comes down to just them knowing, obviously, historically where to fish at, but they're fishing to win. And we talk about that a bunch in tournament fishing. You're either fishing to win that tournament, or you didn't really find what you needed to win, so you're fishing for points. And on this lake, these guys are always fishing to win. It's not let's salvage the day and fish for points here. You will see them in the top 10 every time on Smith.
You know what's crazy? You said they're always in the, 52 weeks a year, they're always in the hunt. I'm 40 years old, and Craig Daniels' name has been in the standings my entire life of bass fishing. I've been bass fishing since I was 10. I forget at one time the stat, how many bass boats he's won on this lake, but it's a lot of them, including an ABT championship win where he took home a beautiful Phoenix. But he when I was, first starting fishing tournaments, man, that guy was the mayor on this lake. Like you were donating if he pulled up to the boat ramp, and it's still that way. And just a, I don't think enough can be said about his sight fishing prowess. Like, he is as good at that technique as anybody's ever been. It is truly, he's something to watch. I've had a front row seat to that a couple times in life, and very, very impressive. And then Wesley's record speaks for itself as well. And powerhouse team. I joked with them at Pickwick. I said they're going to need to be tested for steroids, Smith Lake steroids. That's not okay. That team is not okay. So I'm protesting if I'm a competitor.
So a funny, well, not funny story, but with Swindle back in the day, obviously he grew up cutting his teeth tournament fishing on this lake, fishing against Craig every, Monday night, Tuesday night, Saturday morning, Sunday evening type deal, where they were fishing out here a lot. And he told me a story one time about Craig
Morning, how are y'all?
teaching Gerald how to essentially I must say live scoping, but way back in the day on 2D sonar with a jig. And it was, Gerald always told me it was this old school secret that no one knew what he was doing. And that was back, I guess, in the late 90s. And knowing tricks that no one else knew back then and teaching it to a guy like Gerald, man, just shows he's got a different kind of knowledge about this lake.
Yeah, he's forgot more than we'll ever know. That's for sure. On this body of water, and I did hear you telling the story.
You could forget more. You could forget more in about 3 minutes than I know. I mean, it wouldn't take you long to forget more than I know. You forget that. You just think about buying something and forget to buy it, and then you're like, man, I just forgot more than Darren already knew right then. It'd take you 5 to 10 minutes. It honestly wouldn't be that much.
I heard you telling the Pepsi delivery story, the Pepsi truck and the bed fish when I was putting the boat in the water this morning. That's one of my favorite Craig Daniels stories.
Yep.
Found a 5-pound spot on the bed working from the bank and caught it the next day during the tournament. Incredible. I believe we've got Mr. Matt Lee, special guest, joining us again this morning. He made a little move. Matt, who we got now?
We are sitting here with, we're around a few boats, but we got Taylor Thompson, Garrett Sanders, Georgia boys, and they were trying to, they said donators, but they also already have a limit, and they said it like those kind of fishermen that say they got a limit that just small limit, but they're really sitting in third place. That's just kind of the vibe I got when they told me that. And
they got some meat, meat in the box.
And I came back, I came back in this area. I actually call it Rex Chambers Hole. Those of you that know Rex Chambers, but he caught them. This is just one of those places that we know that he used to really catch them at, and so I just snuck back in here. Actually had a dot on the map, but wasn't sure if that boat was actually in this area or not. It's kind of one of those maybes, but I just snuck back here to see who's back here. We have 3 boats that I can see. Might have one that's even farther back that I can't really get to right now, but good area. And then to come back in the first boat I talked to, he said small limit, so I'm thinking, definitely something going down. but it's kind of a back of a creek run-in area. You know, it's one of those that kind of the same thing we're going to see a lot throughout the day. And we're up to, you know, Ryan Creek arm a good ways, and it's one of those deals that you just see which part of the lake's gonna stand up and beat out the other, I think, and which guy's gonna be, you know, timing wise to be in the area at the right time when they're starting to bite. Do you go there late? Do you go early? It's a lot to. I've seen a couple fish bust this morning, like, so they're chasing, and you know the water where I'm at it's got great color to it. I mean, it is not muddy, but it is like that perfect 1.5 foot visibility when I get up there real close to the bank. So it's yeah, it's really hard not to fish because it is, man, March. Like that perfect watercolor March, you're seeing them chase. You're hearing about people sight fishing. I mean, it is. I mean, this is bass fishing. I mean, this is what we wait all year for right now.
Well, you're talking about schooling, and right now Fisher and Ryan and I are grabbing rods like crazy. There's fish have started just absolutely erupting in front of them. It started slow, and now there's a pretty good amount of schooling going on ahead of them, and they are reaching for top waters. And
pull that spook out of the box, Luke. Bomb it out there.
Listen, I'm jonesing. They're very lucky that Miss K would A, fire me, and B, that I'm about 50 feet further behind them than I need to be to make the cast, because I am jonesing right now. I'm telling you. But we've seen them. They're fishing kind of towards the back of this pocket, towards the back of the drain. And these fish, we've seen a lot of bait fish start to come up and move around a little bit. We've seen a few isolated fish break, and then all of a sudden the middle of the pocket just came to life. But now it looks like it's died down a little bit. But man, they didn't have, it looked like they didn't have the top waters out, and they had to dig them out of the rod locker real quick of the Phoenix, and so they went into panic mode real quick. But I expect we're going to see something. You know, Matt, as you well know, this time of year, or this time we're seeing in the sport, even when fish go down when they're schooling, you know, used to, you're like, well, I'm gonna wait on them to come back up. We don't have to anymore. We just look over there and see where they went down to go hang out and throw at them again.
Yeah. You need to get on Ryan for not, you know, part of his job is to make sure all the rods are neat on the front deck, right? I mean, to make sure they're all pulled out, ready to go. I mean, not even have a top water out. I mean, come on. And then over here where we're at too, hey, Russell, pan over here to this, coming out of the back of the creek. That's what I thought. See, I thought that over here to keep going, just pan left, coming out of the very back. That's Willis and Kiker. Kay reminded me that they have got the dub here on Smith Lake, and they're coming out of, like, this is one of those creeks that you might not even know how far you can get back in there, even with the water 2 foot low. And boat 196, yes, I saw a boat. I really couldn't get back there to where they're at without getting in somebody's way. So that's why we were staying out here a little bit farther out. But I'm gonna sneak over towards them, and that was when I kind of saw their name where they were fishing. I was like, yeah, there's something going on. You can sneak back in this creek. It's one of those run-ins. A lot of like what Darian was talking about. I think the area he was in. Farther down the lake at Smith, you'll have steep run-ins that, you know, they're coming off of a mountainside. Where I'm at now, it's a lot flatter, and certain little cuts will have a deep creek that feeds them that winds back in that you can actually, you can get back in there a ways. I mean, you can get, the water's 3 foot low, maybe 2 foot low, and you can still get back 200 yards out of sight maybe back there. So it's, and those fish will be moving back. You know, they're not scared. As that water comes up, they're waiting for it. So you can catch them, you know, you can catch them out in the middle. That's the crazy part about right now at Smith and any time is depth's really irrelevant. You can be down at the dam, and where Fisher and Ryan are at, I have no clue where you're at, but they could be out over 200 feet of water and catching good ones. And then these guys are, they can get out of their boat and walk on the, on the bottom for another 100 yards before they even, would be over their head, and equally catching them as good. So that's it's interesting to see how it plays out. It's really interesting for me because usually I just, head down and I'm fishing and I really don't know what anybody else is doing. At the end of the day, you hear rumors, but to be able to just drive around and to listen to y'all, kind of the different areas of the lake that y'all are covering and where I'm at, it's really interesting to see. And we can get a shot too, like just over here, the watercolor. I know you won't have maybe too much glare this morning, but it's just a beautiful, like, green where I'm at. It's not, it just looks, it's just perfect.
It is.
But I'm going to try to sneak up here.
Perfect
and
where I'm at as well. These fish are trying to...
What area are you in there, Luke? Are you down closer to the dam?
We're just below Rock Creek in one of these main lake pockets.
Okay.
Just below Rock, and I'm sure, Matt, you probably have a cool local name for where I'm at, but I have caught a lot of fish in here over the years when they've been spawning. I know it well, but I don't know what it's called, but it's a very small, it's not a great big pocket by any stretch of the imagination, but I have had some success in here over the years, and it's pretty popular. I'm sure you've got it's probably Wiggins Branch or something.
There is one that Wiggins has right there where you're at, and it would not surprise you the name of that spot. Of all names and cool names you could think of, there is one right there that's really good, and we call it Pine Tree Point.
Okay.
Right there, hooked up in the back. Pine Tree Point. Yeah, that's a Wiggins name. See what he's got right here.
Boys,
He's not going for the net.
I've got an update, boys. We've got, so we followed, I don't mean to cut you off, but y'all both appreciate this story. We've got, so we followed Craig and Wesley back to this bedfish, and it is in a really tricky spot. There's some really big rocks, and we're way far away. You can see, the viewers can see Craig right now just sit up on the trolling motor. Dude is locked in. I wish y'all could see this, but this is the second time he's broke off. He just broke off the second time this morning. The first one was in about the first 10 minutes, and there's some really big chunk rock, and I'm imagining, just from where I can see him pitching at, there's got to be a big hole in those chunk rocks that fish is in, kind of like down in them, and he's broke off twice. So he's hopped around this morning. He started on this fish, then hopped around all morning, and now he went right back to it, and I think that might have been his second cast in. He broke off again. So he was... by the way, not happy about that.
I would tell. I surprised Craig didn't fish that 30-pound big game.
Dude, it is. I think it is because when he pulls, it sounds like a smaller shotgun kind of shot when that line breaks. Like he's definitely throwing something big.
So the fish bit. He actually broke the fish off. He didn't get like hung on the rock. He actually had the fish bite.
No, no. It was he broke off on the rock twice.
Oh, okay.
He has not set the hook.
Oh.
My bad.
I
didn't explain that well.
He
hung up in the rocks.
Good.
No. My bad. He broke off.
It is a big one, this. And mean too, big and mean.
Lake record.
It's 8 a.m. He's already broken off twice. Well, you talked it up about how you had an update. I'm like, now that is an update. He's done broke off a 12-pounder twice this morning. The sun's not.
I was about to make a suggestion. For Darian's little skinny tail to get out of there before he gets ate. It sounds like a great white back there. It's gonna take your tenderloin biscuit, dog.
I mean, guys, he's been to this fish twice this morning. It sounded like a shotgun both times. He's crow-hopped it and just.
Yeah. Oh man, y'all
You heard it growl before he pitched in there.
Yeah.
That wasn't Craig mad, it was the fish.
196. We got Willis and Kiker, 196. They're right here that I was talking about coming out of the back of this creek. And they caught one that was I think that he got to the measuring board, so they might not have a limit yet, but this area that they're in, I kind of said before that there's a lot of fish in this area, and it's really tricky. There's a, like I said, it was a shallow drain. It comes way out, and okay. Well, I got news background information. It might not be Willis and Kiker right here, and it. Oh, let me confirm real quick. It is what it is. Okay. Yes. Oh, I got you. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, it is them, because I was like, if there's another boat back there behind where they're at, I would be surprised where they just came out of, or somebody dropped their fob in the water. But I don't want to get too close because it's real shallow where they're at. But this drain, actually, one tricky thing about Smith Lake too is I talked about it being real shallow and going a long ways back, but actually even out here where we're at, you still have that creek channel. That drain will actually run out here where we're not actually throwing where a waterfall is coming into the water. For viewers, people listening at home that don't fish Smith a lot of times you are actually throwing where the water's coming in at, but also you can fish the drain way out where you're in open water. But you would imagine if the water was down 30 feet, that creek channel runs out a long ways. And one interesting thing about a place like this, as the day, we get later in the day, it'll, you could go in here and catch 2 right now. Maybe later in the day, those fish set up better, and you could come in with a top water and really catch them. And it differs from spot to spot and day to day. It's really hard to stay on these fish, just as hard as it is when you're out fishing open water, with your forward-facing sonar and they're moving around. This lake changes every day, and really a puzzle to put it together. But what they did, when I came back, I didn't want to get in their way. They were way back in this creek, and I think they've been in here for a while. I don't know if they started in here, but we've seen a little bit of activity out in front of them, and they're making their way out now, throwing. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. We seen a couple that just threw at one that was chasing right there. And I saw another boat that was actually not in the event, was fishing right here where they're at now. I think maybe caught a little one, but the timing's a huge thing. I mean, there will be a lot of boats in some key good areas throughout the day, but being there at that right time and bait selection, it's a little bit more tedious on the bait selection side when you got gin clear water, but it still really important. And this little area that we're in now, I've seen a couple chase already, and I'll sneak up there and get an update here in a second on how their morning's going. I always feel like when I'm fishing, I'm like, no, come up here, you can fish, you can come up right to my boat. And, oh, he just hooked one, got one on. Yep, net. Oh, he's got stuff hung in the net. That's a given, happens every time. Got him. Yep, got him. We'll see if he puts him. See if he even tries to measure him or not. Going in the box. Yep, he's got other ones with him. Whole group of them. So we're with boat 196, Willis and Kiker. We just watched them put one in the box. We'll sneak up close enough in a minute and get an update on how everything's gone before we got here, but definitely around some fish. We're still up in the live cam box. Oh, he just, look how they just, I don't know if y'all caught that, but one just, like, so I'm sitting in 4 feet of water. Where they are at, there's probably about 4 feet of water. And going back to what I've kind of already said, that we've watched a boat, maybe two, already fish through this area they're sitting in. Maybe caught one little one. They just caught one that wasn't even worth getting the measuring board out for. And then right where they just trolled through in not any more than 6 feet of water, I just saw another good one come up. And so that just tells you right there how much they're moving around, how many fish are in this area. I'm gonna scream at them in a second, so if I bust y'all's eardrums, I'm sorry, but let's see. Hook us about a 7 on that top water real quick. About a 7.2. Call it up. And you see right here is kind of, you'll see this a lot too, is there'll be multiple little edges where, so there's actually a little run in that's over here to the right. You can never discount the little corner run in. So you got the main creek that runs back there to their left, but you're also seeing fish. That fresh water, a lot of times, I mean, that bait fish, they get attracted to it, and then the bass aren't far behind, and it's that time of year when they're heading that way. One thing that people ask about, maybe a question this morning, was a favorite pattern or technique on Smith, and Smith is a phenomenal, with it being a clear body of water, spotted bass, herring lake, top waters, wake baits. I mean, what bass fisherman doesn't love throw a top water? I grew up fishing a lot at Gunnersville. They just had another one bust right there. But, frog fishing, flipping grass, that's awesome. But then this is the total opposite as far as the type of body of water. But some of the top water bites you get out here is unreal. You're talking about Luke this morning was watching them come up, and then I was talking about him throwing a spook in there, and now it's really hard. There's not many times I'm right here this close to scoring fish and cannot do a thing about it. I really want to, I just have to watch them throw at them. Oh, I want to get a bait in there. This actually, I'm seeing more activity now than I had. We've been here 30 minutes, or maybe, and it's actually getting better. Let me see how they're. How's it going so far, guys? Yeah. Good.
A lot of herring. Big one.
Lot of what?
Herring.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know this place had them that big.
Yeah. So that was one thing. I hope we're still back up. We're still on that box. But he was saying a lot of herring. He said a lot of herring, big ones. And It is kind of tricky because you can go out here and ride around a lot, and you can come here for a week fishing and never actually lay your eyes on the herring. But as it gets this time of year, they want to move shallow. They're starting to actually, think about spawning, and you think when those herons start spawning in pockets on Smith, it looks like the bass are schooling on something right there. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Look at that. Get that right there. They're gorging. Schooling. That is awesome. Zoom in and get this big bite right here. Oh, yep. Got him. Grow up. I called it 7-2. I don't think that's a 7-2, but yeah, but you'll actually think it's bass schooling on the bank, but it's just herring spawning on the bank. That is one of those reasons when that, going back to that question a minute ago about favorite technique on Smith, Tennessee River, you can't throw something too big, but even at Smith, you can't throw something too big. I was out last week and I was throwing this slide swim 175. It's like a 5-inch, 6-inch glide bait, and lost a big one. They are not scared of, it could be the size of your shoe, and they're not scared of it. And that's that herring is literally like my favorite food. On Everybody Loves a Filet, but mine's a steak, and that blueback herring is a filet to those bass. And he said, I asked him about this morning, and he said he had a limit of overs. So that's 2 people we talked to in here with the limit. So that's tells you right there. And he said he's seeing herring, and they're big ones. And man, that fires me up. Oh, I want to see if they'll let it.
Hey, that gets skunk out of the boat. Fisher and Ryan.
I hear Ryan over there in the background.
Yeah, you can hear Matt Lee says he can hear you, Ryan. So through my mic here, but yeah, Ryan just out of the back of the boat. Looked like an under, but it's a keeper. They didn't have any, and we were talking to these guys for a bit after we went off live, and they said in this area they're in, they had a lot of success, and Fisher caught them in a Fisher, I need to move. You can come back this way? Okay. Fisher had caught them in a high school tournament in the same area a month ago. He said these fish have been in here for a long time, and Fisher said, unfortunately, they've been in here too long. He said they're smart.
Yeah, just because y'all missed it. Just Luke, you didn't hear. I was up here farther at Ryan, and Wilson Cocker came out of this run-in, and they said that they had a limit of overs, but they, or Wilson Cocker, I don't know if I said Fisher, I don't know, I'm getting all confused because I'm getting excited because they were talking about the herring they were seeing and how big they were.
Yeah.
And then now there's no more activity than there was when you last left. Like they're starting to come up even more. And yeah, it's bonanza. You said that are you still seeing them come up where you're at? Like, did they move off that last one?
No, they're still in the same place. They're fixing to make a move. We're going to stick with them probably, but they said that these fish have been in here for over a month. They've been catching them. Fisher's caught them really good in a couple tournaments in here, and then Fisher joked, he said, that's the problem. He said, they basically know him by name, I think, now, because he showed them his little tricks a couple times. So he said they're pretty smart. They're seeing a ton of them on scope. Even when they come up, they're just not able to get them to commit. Ryan caught that first keeper just throwing at the bank. But they said they don't think they can win scoping at all. There's too many fish going towards the bank. So they think they could, max out about 10 pounds or so scoping, but they'll definitely take a limit doing it and then go try to catch some big ones. But they've been mixing a little bit of big swim bait action too.
Yeah, that was one thing too I was saying about the herring fish is they're not scared of a big bait. Like they were just talking about how big those herring are out here on Smith. It's like the Tennessee River. They're not scared of anything. I mean those herring are giant. And those fish out here know it. And that's one thing too, is down, like in the area you're in, like in the wintertime, those fish, they don't move a long ways from December to where they're at now. They might move up in the water column, or they're a little bit shallower, but like the area I'm in, there was not a bass here. It's too shallow. It's too far back in here when it was cold. And so that's one thing too, is a lot of those fish down in the lower end, they've been in those pockets for a while now, and they've been, you know, fish for it all the time. They're not like fresh, just moved. You know, maybe the bite changes at certain, but like the ones I'm at now, these fish are, they haven't been here. That's one thing that.
Yeah, they're
but
fresh.
I haven't seen like giants. Yeah, they're fresh. Yeah.
It does make a difference, and you know, this used to fish got a break. I think you would agree with that, Matt. You know, a lot of people deer hunted a lot more in the winter, and man, now you got people that, I mean, shoot, our anglers, they're out here 12 months a year, and this is a really popular wintertime fishery, so they see a lot of baits, and especially with this new technology,
Yes.
and you can target these suspended fish so much better. These fish in the middle of these drains and things, they see a lot of baits. They see a lot of jig head minnows, a lot of freeloaders floating around.
Yes, that's for sure. Like one thing for me on the fishing the forward facing out here is that, just to show you how finicky they can be sometimes, and a lot of times I use like a 4-inch bait, but like the lightest weight I can get away with. So if I'm in an area like Ryan and Fisher or like I've been seeing some activity, I'm not moving a lot, I might even go to a 1/16 head, because the literally get more bites than hooked up right here. Oh, you just missed it. Oh, they're chasing one. They're heading towards my trolling motor. Oh gosh, they're heading. He's about to put a spook on my trolling motor and catch a big one. This is made for TV. But like, it's not like I can just throw a half-ounce swim bait head in there with a minnow on it and they bite it. It's like the fact that you got to bomb out a 1/16 head to get, you know, that shows you that a lot of times when you're watching people fish or you're watching a show or anything, it makes it look a lot easier than it is. Like, those fish are they get educated. You know, you think of something that has a brain the size of a pea, if they're out there schooling, you'd be able to throw out there with top water and just hook one. And there's a lot that goes into it that to make those fish bite. You know, everybody talking about now the forward-facing sonar, just how it is for people watching somebody fish that way. It can be not exciting, but there is a lot of stuff going through that. Like Ryan and Fisher right now, like Fisher's joke, you know, his brain's going a million miles an hour thinking about little techniques and stuff to change to be able to get one of those to bite. And there's a lot that goes into it other than just, you know, scanning around till you see a big dot and throwing out there, and maybe it bites, maybe it doesn't. So he didn't pull that fish out off my trolling motor just yet, but we're still right here. I think every 10 minutes we're seeing more activity than we did the 10 minutes prior. I mean, it's hard to move and jump around the lake right now.
Starting to wake up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we got water temp where I'm at is 61.1. I think that's really right. And that lake's, I haven't looked this morning to see. I saw yesterday the lake said it came up a little over a quarter foot. And usually, like, rule of thumb here on Smith is, or we say that old head, Sean Stryker told me that an inch of water's a foot on the lake. So you get an inch of rain, the lake comes up a foot. And right now they're not generating any water; they're letting it fill up. So it, you know, they're chasing right there on the other side. Gosh, that looks like fun. Oh, his head. I don't know if that's Willis or Kiker in the back, but he just did one of those knees buckle because he just saw a big one eat something, and it's just out of casting range. Oh, we just had one knock it. Kiker's in the bag. Yeah, he just did one of those. Oh, one of those knee bucklers. Oh, please get it. He's about to get, and of course, as soon as they move over there to start throwing to the left, they come up here to look at him chasing down this bank of this other road. You see those, and they're not really school by size, I would say, a lot of times. Like, you will have those just barely overs, and then there'll be a 3-4 pound spot in there with them, and I would say that usually there's a reason that fish got to be as big as it is. It's a little bit wiser than the others, so it's kind of feast or famine when you're seeing them. That last little group that came up, there was 3 just looked like just average size ones, and then the last one that came up in bold was a no show enough shoulders on that last one. Gosh, I wish they'd have a big one right there. I could sit here and watch them throw these fish busting on one. It looks like they're mixing up, I think, a couple different top water, small walking bait, fishing it pretty fast. I'm trying to back off, like literally, like this, based on what the water level is on Smith, you have different depths, but I'm 3.5 feet deep right here, and
They know exactly how far you can throw and stay 5 feet.
Oh, I know. That's what I was saying just a second ago. Well, that one came up over there, and you see, it's just out of reach, and your knees buckle when you're just like, oh, please get it. And as soon as you throw to the left and they come up over here to the right, it's like they. There's no doubt I would have thrown way more backlashes than y'all have throwing at them for sure. Those ones that are just out of reach, you try to put that little bit extra, turn your bait caster up 1 notch, and you're like, it's feast.
I'm tuned up, and we're over it now.
Yeah, there was another boat out here earlier, but I was like, I'm going to run around to some places where I think there might be something going on, and y'all had a key fob with a location on it, but there was another boat, and I kind of thought y'all might be back in there, but I kind of knew how it was. I was going to wait on y'all to come back out.
This was not happening yesterday. They were back there yesterday.
Gotcha.
I can't believe it. We're boat 196, and somehow nobody was here.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we pull in, there's like 5 other boats.
Yeah.
Usually don't get that kind of boat. Of course, we don't have a big one anyway.
Y'all got
Yeah.
fish so far?
We got
One over. There you go.
got a big largemouth.
Y'all caught this morning? 7 or 8 fish.
That's legit.
Yeah.
Where did the largemouth bite?
Mostly just dragging the shaky head for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, y'all been catching 5 overs pretty consistently?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Maybe it'll be the right 5 overs.
They were saying that that they kind of
Yeah.
the one they were
What's
surprised
the
that
weight that y'all had?
their
the best
boat
day of practice?
196. They're kind of surprised they even got here and nobody was already here. That's one thing that there's so many places to fish on Smith, but it's never fails that somebody else is on somewhere that you want to get. And then I've had times before where I've been almost boat 200 in a tournament out here, and I start on a place right next to takeoff down at the dam, and nobody's on it, and it's one of those, anybody that fishes tournaments kind of knows you just luck of the draw whether you show up somebody's there or not. And they said that, I think he said that the fish, he thought they were going to be farther back, and that they're out here in front of where we saw them come out of back in the creek. So, but I'm ready for him to start coming up again. We got to check back in with the one and only Darian Craig, who looks, way better.
Yeah, we got boat number.
Flawless hair.
We got boat number 211, and they're I'm gonna say they're old school fishing. They're not live scoping. They're dragging a shaky head and a Carolina rig. They said they have consistently caught overs, but it's gonna take them all day to get their 5. But they've been catching 5 overs. They got one keeper right now over, and so they got 7 or 8 fish in the slide. But he said we're gonna catch 5 overs by the end of the day. But said at practice he had a couple. 4 fish for 12 pounds, so if he could catch the 5th, he might get a. Oh, here we go. Oh, man. That was good. Came off on the shaky head. Probably had him by the tail. Get it right behind the hook every time, Matt. Matt, I'm watching some old school fishing, but it sounds like, I hope the viewers at home are just loving what you've got going on, because if it looks on TV half as good as what it sounds like in our earpieces, you are in for a show. And I know for a fact, this is one thing that I know for certain.
What?
Luke Duncan loves school and fish more than any person I've ever met in my life. He is jealous of you today. I'll say that. I know for a fact that Luke Duncan is jealous.
I think because of the fact, too, that I don't have a rod in my hand, that I'm making it sound like that there's 9-pounders eating Pop-Rs every throw over here, and it's not like that, but it is. I mean, I've seen a lot slower fishing. They haven't gone like, I don't think we definitely haven't gone 5 minutes without seeing them, chasing some down the bank. And I think, the fact that I don't have a rod is making it, I'm sure on the camera, I hope he's zooming in on me, because if he zoomed way out, you might see a little minnow dart, and the viewers at home like, dude, Matt's got to chill out, because he's making this sound like we're peacock bass fishing out here, blue marlin or something, but it is pretty good. It's kind of making me think, like, am I really going to leave these guys and go around exploring and might not see this? I'm sure it's happening in the next spot, just right around the corner. But I think we're gonna let them have at it, and we're just gonna go see, because I'm really interested to just keep moving around and see what's going on. We got limited time, and we got over 200 boats to hunt around on. Probably our neck of the woods over here, there's probably 100 of them. So. I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to ease out of here and let them have it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you catch them up.
Well, this brings a perfect time to do a Crush City segment. So earlier we saw a couple different things going on. Craig Daniels and Wesley Sams were a lot of times throwing a bigger swim bait. They were throwing a bunch of different baits, but one of them was a swim bait. We've seen several boats, the one that we can see now, throwing a swim bait off the point. And there's 2 different kind of major fishing tactics going on in this tournament. So far, it sounds like there's a lot of live scoping going on and just old school fishing the bank. If you're fishing the bank, a lot of times the person in the front is making a long cast down the bank with a moving bait. The person in the back of the boat is fishing a lot slower. Shaky head, Carolina rig, jig, That's been consistent every angler we've seen this morning. Luke said that earlier, that Fisher was fishing moving baits, and Ryan and Naya was fishing slower in the back of the boat. So this is a bait that is really, really popular right now. The new Crush City, they are sponsoring the ABT this year. This is the Mayor swim bait. This is something very similar. I don't know if this is the exact bait. Something very similar is what we've seen all morning. Just looks like a little shad. Perfect imitator. It's weighted really well too, so you can use a smaller hook if you want to rig this thing weightless or with a tiny weight in the front just to keep the nose down, or you can put it on a jig head like what Matt was talking about earlier. So that is the 4-inch version, and this is the 3-inch version. And the deal kind of with these two sizes is the smaller one is going to be really good for forward-facing sonar. They both would work, but you're seeing all of the anglers that we've seen this morning are going with a smaller size on forward-facing sonar. But when you're fishing on the bank, oftentimes you're using a little bit bigger one, move a little bit more water, draw a bigger bite. Oftentimes, how the fishing that we've seen is a lot of guys on the bank fishing for largemouth, brush piles, or bushes, or big chunk rocks. A lot of times you're looking for largemouth in the backs of those creeks. Excuse me, earlier we were talking about the drains. A lot of times big largemouth to get up in those drains. So you want to throw something a little bit bigger. That's where the 4-inch one comes into play. And then, like I said, live scoping, fishing off the front, looking at your sonar, fishing a smaller jig head, you would go with the smaller 3-inch one. That's that color is Sexy Shad. That color is Green Shad. You can see both of them look just like a real bait fish, and both of them would do perfect. Not just here on Smith Lake, but on really any lake. You can't go wrong with either of those two colors. It doesn't matter if your lake at home has muddy water or clean water, a river system, or a deep lake like we're on here at Smith. You're going to catch fish. If it looks like a shad, they're going to bite it. So just wanted to make a huge shout out for Palo Crush City Customs. That's the Mayor swim bait in 2 different sizes. And now back to your paid programming, brought to you by y'all, the fine folks over at Alabama Bass. We've got 2 guys fishing the point. We got one man in the Black Phoenix over here in front. He was fishing the point. He was throwing a swim bait, just like I was saying, down that bank, and then popped out way out there. So I don't know if he started seeing fish on live scope or what. Also, I wanted to give an update on, well, I didn't say this earlier because things got crazy. So this morning we were covering Craig Daniels and Wesley Sams, and they started on that big bedfish. If y'all been here all morning, they started on a big one. He said it was this big. So, and I trust the man. He caught a big one, like a 4-pounder, what we're assuming was a 4-pounder, and then caught a 3-pounder, but Craig never stopped looking at that one fish, and he never stopped fishing for it. Broke off on a rock, like I guess pitching in that bed. He broke off there, makes a run, fishes a bunch of different spots, comes back to that fish. A couple pitches later, breaks off again. I guess there's some big rocks around. We couldn't get close enough to see it. So he breaks his bait off again, which normally isn't good. You don't want to have your baits down in the beds, just because then the fish is going to know that it's, you're losing your chance. And when he came back out of that pocket, he said, "We're going to run, we'll come back later." And I said, "Well, how big was that big one?" He said, I think it's probably 6.5 or better. So this is an absolute giant. I would love to see if they can catch that fish. And that's going to be probably what I'm going to look for all day. We have them on a tracker, so I can see where he's at on the lake. As soon as I see them coming back this way, we're going to head over to that pocket and just see if we can find them and hopefully see them catch that fish, because that is the fish that would really anchor your back. That's how you win tournaments here on Smith, is having a giant like that in the spring. And especially if they've already got a 4 and a 3, and I know they had one at least 2 pounds, so they've already got a decent start. You got a 6.5 pounder to that, you've got a really big start for the day, and that's how you definitely win tournaments here on Smith. That's obviously very exciting, getting things going. And for the people who are watching, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, comment down below whatever you've got, bait questions, locations in a lake. Matt was talking earlier about favorite tactics. There's a bunch of different fishing styles going on, and so comment those below. Miss K, we've got AirPods in. Miss K is like always asking us questions, telling us things that y'all are asking. So we appreciate all the questions. You know, we're trying to be as interactive as we can. We've got iPads. I'll show it in a little bit. But on the iPad, it's got a map of Smith Lake. We've got 30 trackers on different anglers throughout the lake, and I can pull up and zoom in exactly where some of these guys are. So comment below if you've got people that you'd like us to go try and follow. We can't guarantee that we're going to be able to get to them just because we don't have everyone. We'll do our best. Miss Kay will say, hey, go over there and try to find boat number 20. And so we'll try to find those anglers. I'm actually going to pull the iPad up now and find the next set of boats. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Wherever you're watching at, thank you for joining us this morning. Please share the video if you could, so more fishing freaks like ourselves will get to watch this coverage this morning. We appreciate your time, and we're going to jump over to commercial, and I'll be right back.
The Alabama Bass Trail is sponsored by Rapala, VMC, Crush City, TH Marine.
At Phoenix Boats, our passion for fishing is obvious. Whether it's a pro event or fishing with our family and friends,
we truly love the sport of fishing.
That's why our goal is to make every single Phoenix boat that goes out the door the best fishing platform it can be in both design and construction.
We love to fish as much as anyone, and we believe it shows in every boat we build.
Phoenix Boats, built by anglers for anglers.
I leave nothing to chance when it comes to hooks. They are the most critical part of the equation.
This is truly the best hook I've ever used.
Thinner, stronger, slicker, all the pluses that you really want in a hook. That red line right in the roof of her mouth, exactly where you want to get them.
When you have the opportunity to create something good, you might as well make this great, and I think that's what we did with the Red Line series of hooks.
The TH Marine HydroWave H2 KVD edition is a surefire way to ignite a feeding frenzy. The HydroWave utilizes a sound-emitting technology that imitates bait fish and other feeding fish below the surface that preys on the competitive nature of bass and other game fish to get you more bites. The HydroWave is another way that TH Marine has you covered from transom to trolling motor.
Big companies get bigger and bigger and talk about their fancy labs where they study fish behavior, but then they all go golfing on the weekend. We don't have a large laboratory to test baits. Why, you ask? We don't need a big laboratory because our pros fish, our employees fish, our salespeople fish, our suppliers fish, our mold builders fish, our owners fish, and our kids fish. This is our laboratory. Our R&D comes from time on the water, learning how to make fish bite. We don't have other hobbies. We fish. We fish all year in all conditions across the whole country. All that time on the water brings us thousands of hours of testing new products and improving current ones for all species. We're a family-owned U.S. company that has many of our products made in America by American workers. The products we don't make in America, we make in Guatemala, which supports many families in that country as well.
Hear that sizzling? That's bologna whispering. I'm back. The Big Bologna Breakfast Sandwich is back at Jack's. 2 thick-cut slices of fried bologna, eggs, and cheese on Texas toast for $3.99. Jack's, all about the South.
Welcome back to the Alabama Bass Trail Live Studio here on the banks of beautiful Smith Lake. As you can see there, that is Smith Lake Dam Park. 225 teams registered for this event. We have 219 are here today. So sounds like if you've been watching live this morning, you've seen lots of fish catching, and that's exactly what we expected. As Darian was mentioning, we do have 30 trackers on boats out on the water, along with our 3 roaming analysts and our still photographer, Noah, is out there getting photography for us. And if you haven't visited some of the galleries, please do so. He takes some phenomenal photos. So we are going to talk a little bit about what's going on Damian Willis, Tyler Kiker, they won here in 2022. You may remember it was 68 degrees on Friday, turned off to 31 degrees, and snowed 2 inches that morning. But these guys stayed out there. The wind was crazy that day, and they brought in over 15.5 pounds to take the win that day. So they are in a brand new Phoenix boat, so that would put them at a $23,000 win if they can pull it off today. They are certainly in a fishy area. We visited with Wesley Sams and Craig Daniels. I know that Darian is going to follow them very closely on the tracker. They're going to, once they head back to that area, Darian is going to go and try to cover them as well. But I know Luke is set up on a new team, so we're going to go ahead and get back out on the water. He is on boat number 124. Luke, tell us what they've got in the boat.
Yeah, we're on 124, Dalton Spears and Charles Spears, and they got 3 fish in the boat. And I'm just going to tell you, one of them's got his shorts on, and he's freezing me to death. That's my update, because listen, it's supposed to be beautiful by the time we start weighing in these fish this afternoon at Smith Lake Dam. It's supposed to be 72. That's what my weather app is showing. But right now, I'll tell you, Miss Kay, after that rain got out of here, and earlier in the week we had mid-70s weather, beautiful sunshine. It's a little chilly this morning. It's hard to complain after Logan Martin and then Pickwick. We all froze, but it is a little cool this morning, especially for short breeches as we're seeing. But 3 in the boat. We're in Rock Creek now, and to be honest, a lot of our anglers, we're kind of in search of a few on the tracker here that are further on up the creek. We've got several of our favorites coming into the event in this creek, but I'm really surprised. Brenton and I were talking when we first stopped in here at the number of boats in here. It's a lot fewer than I really expected to see. We're about halfway up Rock right now, so normally I just get so used to seeing so many competitors in this creek, no matter what the event is. And by the looks of the tracker, there's a lot that have ran to the upper reaches of Rock, which isn't a surprise. But normally, back out towards the mouth, you can certainly see a lot of competitors. So really surprised to see that this morning, but a lot of fishing going on the main creek. That's what the Spears are doing. We also see some folks tucked back into some pockets. I'm going to guess trying to fish for some bedfish. There's another boat kind of tucked in behind where we're at right now. We're going to go check on just here in a few minutes after we hang with the Spears boys here. They're fishing some vertical walls. Some of the more, Rock's got a lot of bluffy stretches. They're fishing that and some points, but 3 fish in the boat so far. And I think Matt said earlier and said it best, he knows this lake so good, and you can really pick your poison on Smith Lake right now. We've even got some old regular fishing going on right now. Isn't that what they call it now? If you're not live scoping, people are like, that's old regular fishing. I'm just regular fishing. That's what we're seeing right now from the Spears. Actually throwing at the bank and working a bait back to the boat. So I think all of it's actually fishing in my book, but just old regular fishing. Like we've got we've seen them throwing jerk baits on, a drop shot, and 1-2 punch. A little bit of scoping around the docks and the points when they come to them. But as we saw with Fisher and Ryan and I earlier, and we've heard so many of our anglers say, it is in a team event, they're working together. It doesn't matter who catches them. that all pays the same when you when you put them in the boat, and so you'll have one kind of staring at that live scope a lot and another dragging a bait around, especially if they're close to the bank. I will say, Ryan and Fisher, when we were running by, and as we were on pad, we turned around and they were hooked up. And we could not tell what that was. We were after another team, so we do think that they ended up putting another fish in the boat as we ran away. Of course, as we ran away. Our luck. And we love every body of water we get to go to with the Alabama Bass Trail. But Smith Lake is one of those just picturesque fisheries. If you're sitting at home this Saturday morning, it doesn't get a lot prettier and more scenic than Smith Lake. One of my absolute favorite bodies of water to be on. Spent a lot of time down here over the years. I always enjoy, especially this time of year when spring starts happening. It's an awesome, awesome place to be. If you ever want to get down here on a trip, come to the city of Jasper. I promise you, you can find all you need there. And you're really close to the lake. Great host. We got 225 teams put in at the dam this morning. Super smooth, thanks to the city of Jasper. All the help and the ABT crew, we got them in there. It didn't take long at all. Top 75 in the points this season. Going to go to Lay Lake for a championship this fall. Top 9 going to go to the Bassmaster Team Championship. So a lot on the line in this second event. $15,000 going to go to the winner today. Overall purse of $64,000. Lots to get excited about in the Alabama Bass Trail. Raised that top prize from $10,000 to $15,000 for first place, and when you throw in those Phoenix First Flight dollars, that bonus can be up to $8,000 extra dollars if the winning team's in a Phoenix boat. If you're sitting at home today thinking, man, I'd like to be a part of the Alabama Bass Trail, I'm just going to tell you, when sign-ups happen this fall, you better get quick on that mouse, because both divisions sold out in 30 minutes. So if you're thinking it's something you want to do next year, go ahead and set a reminder in your phone. When sign-up starts, you better be on it. And then we just released the Alabama Bass Trail 100 schedule, and it is going to be full of big fish next year. Registration will start for that in June. $25,000 first place in the ABT 100s, only 100 boats. Fantastic event. But we got a long ways to go this year before we can get to that. I believe my buddies are coming back to join me, Mr. Matt Lee and Darren Craig.
Yeah. Luke, I heard your spill. Yeah. I wanted to quickly shout out. We jumped on to boat number 175, and Paul Burke and Josh Stevens. Luke, this boat is from North Carolina.
I know Mr. Paul Bork.
We talked about that. Yeah, we talked about that several times, but the fact that we've got so many different states represented, these guys are fishing from North Carolina, that's really cool. But they caught several fish so far this morning, he said, but they're all short, they were all unders. However, he did say that yesterday they caught a much better quality in here, so they're just kind of waiting it out, fishing. It looks like they're both on a wacky rig, but you got live scope, little minnows, jig head minnows ready to, at their feet, dangling off the side, so they're definitely playing the fish the bank game with a minnow ready to roll. You can zoom in right by the trolling motors. You can see he's got that little bitty minnow hanging right there. As soon as he sees a fish, he's probably going to bomb that out. But man, I think that's probably one of the coolest things. Since I fished the ABT and now covering it this year, I never realized when I was fishing the ABT how many different states we had fishing it. And I think, when you hear about team tournaments, there's a couple of trails throughout the country that you hear about, and the ABT is always in that conversation at the top of that list. And it's cool to see this as on the water, be able to see all these different guys. It's really neat. And I don't know how much time and money it costs for these guys to come down from North Carolina to fish the ABT, but we appreciate them doing it. If you're watching, if you're the family of these guys watching live, we appreciate it. And I'm interested to see what goes on today. Matt said earlier he really thought that, he said people this afternoon are going to catch fish that they did not catch yesterday, meaning the lake's getting better every day. And, these guys, if they caught fish in here yesterday, they haven't caught them yet, maybe that bite's going to keep getting better. Matt, I got hopefully, I think Matt's on our screen now, but my question for you, Matt Lee, is I've drove past this morning, we're at the mouth of Lick Creek right now. I have seen several, I'm going to call community spot holes, I'm going to call school and fish holes. Nobody's on them. It's like the main lake stuff that I've seen that's typically community type holes. I'm not seeing anybody down on the lower end. I'm just not seeing them there. Everyone seems like they're back in the creeks. You think that has to do with the warmer water and the fish are pulling out from this main stuff where they would have been schooling and would have been, out closer to the main lake, and now they're just pushing back in the creeks with the warmer water?
Yes, I think that. The group of fishermen that are out here, they know the time of year, they know where those fish are heading. I mean, the fish they're obviously, a lot of them are not there on those places, but also these anglers know the conditions we've had with the weather, the water coming up. I think one tricky part is I was out here, it wasn't quite a week ago, but how fast Smith Lake clears up is one thing. So the conditions that you see today, that you have today, the lake was not like this, 4 or 5 days ago. And so one thing you mentioned just a second ago about guys catching them this afternoon in a place that the fish weren't at, was the fact that that water 4 days ago that's a little colored up was really clear. Could have been 4 or 5 days ago. But I do think those fish are moving back in those places, and like down the mouth of the lick, you have several little nubs, points, whatever, that you would typically see people on. And I think anglers know that guys are going to catch them shallow and in the back of places, and they're going to miss out if they don't, give that a real shot. We just left one run in and went where we saw all that activity, went across to something that really looks identical that I expected to see some activity at, and they had boat 104 was Thacker and his partner Keith Marsh, and there was not the schooling activity I expected, really similar to the place I left. Kind of told me that you got to be in the right place at the right time. Like, I really would have bet that I would have seen about equal amount of activity. And now we're on a Seaborn team that I've seen in this area of the lake all morning and haven't been to yet. And they are working their way back in this. I haven't gotten to talk to them yet. I'm waiting on them to turn around. But it seems like to me that they're fishing these little cuts that are not the main creek run-ins, if that makes sense when I'm explaining it good. Like, they're little chutes that are off the main creek. On Smith Lake, a lot of times, it's like Lick Creek, the Arians End, for example. You'll have the main creek that'll run in. You can go all the way to the back where it runs in, but then also there'll be several fingers along the way. And those main run-ins a lot of times get the most traffic. And if you can kind of key in on fishing these, and it's really hard because there's a gazillion pockets on Smith Lake, but I'll be interested. I kind of like I've seen them this morning, and the places that I've seen them is not being in the very back of the main creek run-in, if that makes sense. They've been in these little fingers. So
that's what I've seen too. That's the same thing I've seen. Like, everywhere the main creek makes a little turn, that valley where the turn is, like, that's where the water's coming in. It's just like a little thing. It's nothing at all. Matt, while you were talking, these guys actually caught one fish and then had 2 more bites, fishing a very similar thing as you're talking about. Both of them, the one they did catch was an under, or was a slot fish, but no, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, where I'm at, like, it's in that Miller Flats area of the lake. Oh, he's getting the net on him too. Putting a little shoulder lean on him too. Oh, might be a keeper, he says. There we go, a little jump action. Looks, this one's going in the box, baby. We bring good luck every time, so we'll just stick around for a little while. Well, we'll hang out till you catch 5, and then we'll roll with the next guy. Pass the love around.
Make that deal.
Oh, Matt, we got
top secret bait there, huh?
We got it. Put him in the net right there. There we go. He'll keep, right? Matt, they're fishing and they're throwing at a spot that's like one specific cast, just down the same exact bank, but they've had like 4 or 5 bites in this exact same cast. And he keeps. That was on a wacky rig.
You think it's spawning bass?
Like I don't know. It's like a clay.
Spawning bass spawning on that.
Could be. Yeah, I bet you're right. It's like it's a clay bank, and there's a like this spot's got one little rock pile right where that run in it. They're not fishing the run in, but there's like definitely something coming down there. It's not what we've been talking about, but it's similar. But it could be. They could be spawning a little bit deeper on that clay bank.
Up here in this flat area, the camera will kind of show, the water is perfect here for. There's not too many targets. So as we go back in this little finger that we're in, like you see right there, we have like a nothing, just rock bank that really is more sand than rock. And then one section will have a little ledge rock right there. And then as you go out, there's nothing on the bank, and then there's 3 big laydowns. And that's one thing that right now, if the water's all the way full out here, then you have a lot of targets for them to pull up, spawn around. And I think, especially for largemouth here, before they even spawn, they're pulling up on those targets to start getting ready to. And you know, it's pretty elementary that it's pretty obvious what targets are going to be on. That's one thing that a lot of people will key on, as you know, all over the lake, especially in these largemouth areas, is you get back in and there's not just, you know, 100 targets in a little pocket when you go back in it. There's 2 big laydowns and 1 rock pile. And,
no, it makes sense.
Ask them how it's going.
Yeah. Sorry I interrupt you, Matt, but he was kind of breaking down a little bit of what he was doing.
Good. I'm about to holler.
The only kind of
How's it going this morning? How's it going so far?
Slow.
Slow?
Yeah.
That's all right. Still got a lot of day left.
Yeah. I mean, it can happen all at once.
Yeah.
We've only had a hold of one decent fish, about 3 pounder. It come off. Got 3 little old bitty ones.
Well, we had a couple of issues with Matt's audio. We'll still cover these guys. So what he was saying is that he said, I don't know if it's just me or not, but every time they see a fish, they actually are turning the scope off of the fish. He said he feels like it's, I don't know if that ping or what, he said makes them get shy to bite, but he's like, every time I get my bait close to him, I turn the scope away from him, point away from the fish, and then he'll eat it. I don't know if that's I have to ask Matt and Luke about that, but it sounds, I mean, it makes sense to me. Everybody always talks about the pinging of the transducers might, you know, mess with the fish, or the fish can hear it or feel it or whatever. He said, well, as soon as I see one, I'll cast at it, watch my bait fall, and then turn the transducer away from the fish so it's not actually pinging them anymore. Makes sense. Not a bad theory, but here he goes. Like I said earlier, made the same exact cast at that spot, and finally got him a good one. Fishing slow and steady down the bank, spinning rod, wacky rig. Partner realizes it's a big one. He's like, grab the net, come on, let's get him in the boat. So he ended up saying that fish weighed 113, so almost a 2 pounder. And Matt made a good point earlier, and the interesting thing about Smith Lake is that the spots, and I'll get Matt to really elaborate on this in a little while, but the spots do spawn a little deeper on these like shelf banks. A lot of times on the main lake, like a bluff wall, but the first shelf. So maybe at 8 to 10 feet, 12 feet, depending on the water level of the lake. And I heard them talking about that earlier. There's an underwater shelf right here, and that's why they kept casting at that exact same spot. You can't see it, just what we're like looking right here, you can't see it, but he noticed it earlier, so that'd be interesting to see if they're spawning on top of that. That's why they're fishing really slow, making that same cast. But Matt was mentioning, as the water is warming up, but the lake's not at full pull, that the fish will actually wait and kind of slow their progression down instead of running up to the bank and trying to spawn or trying to go right into the spawn. They'll just slow it down, wait on that water to come up. And like he said, we got a bunch of rain this week. They're not pulling it through the lake. They're letting the water fill up so we can get it to full pull. So, you know, all of these things are, it's funny how as we're doing live and you watch fishing, everything that everyone's saying matches. Because even Wesley Sam said this place is about a week away from busting open, and matches exactly what Matt's saying. If the lake fills up, the water's warming up, and then we're a week away, like, you know, it's cool to see that. But we've already heard some good fish catches. I really want to know if Craig and Wesley are going to come back and catch that 6.5 pounder. I might just go in there and sit the whole afternoon. I might, when we get done with live, I'll probably just go sit on the bank over there, park the boat, and just wait on them to come back. See if Luke will bring me a lunch, a Jack's burger or something, and I'll just wait on them. I got their tracker until they weigh in and they're right where they're at, so I'll just wait on them to come back. There we go. Fish on the front. That one's going to be a slaughter. Slaughter? I'm gonna scoot in a little closer and talk. If you need me to move, I will. But you were mentioning a second ago that there was some better fish in here yesterday. You just haven't caught them today. I know y'all been pointing out a bunch of different things, but what's your theory on that? Like, do you think you're just catching smaller ones now? They're still in here? Are you seeing them?
Like, no, just basically just what we were catching yesterday. So we hit, you know, it's like it's the very front of this pocket coming into this creek, so it's pretty predictable, but we hit like 20 of these places yesterday, and this one seemed to have bigger fish. Like,
gotcha.
Tough, like a lot of fish in that 13 to 15 inch zone, obviously, but here, like, that guy's out here, just isolated little do-nothing pieces of wood, stick-ups and stuff there'd be fish on, which is why we're going so slow. It's like all the kind of obvious stuff I think was moved up. We'd see one little stick here, one little stick there, caught a 2-pounder, 3-pounder kind of pecking around.
So you're seeing that on live scope and throwing at targets?
Yeah, yesterday 2 of them we just saw, which was this brush back here, and then
gotcha.
One of them's up here underwater. Both seeing them and live.
Gotcha.
But the same kind of thing, so
yeah.
To me it's seeing them either way.
Yeah.
We went way back in there, but it was, you know, kind of spotty. The backs of some places have bait getting chased, and some places don't. Not being from here, I don't have history.
Yeah.
Yesterday the sun was out, so we were able to kind of fish docks and do that. It condensed them more, and now with it's shady, it's why we're slowing down more.
Sure, makes sense.
But the sun had come out, you could kind of like use the docks to figure out how many fish were in the area roughly. Most of them were underneath there.
That's a cool trick.
It works. But
so now since it's not sunny, it's not holding them there, those same fish are still probably here, they're just spread out more.
Yeah, it feels like they're spread out, so it's like coming in, there was a bunch of, I think, stripers, I guess, but on this point. And yesterday when the sun was out, they were in super specific spots, you know, and with the cloudy, I'm just seeing singles.
Gotcha.
Just kind of easing around. But I don't want to overrun them. And the truth is, I don't have a whole lot better than this.
Yeah.
I got to kind of milk it out through here.
Yeah.
There's like, I see there's a lone brush pile at 65 feet, just a little do nothing. There's nothing else around, so let's see what happens.
Ladies and gentlemen, if he just called his shot like that on TV, y'all got to like this video or comment or something. If he just called his shot like that.
So what was weird was yesterday, the sun out, to me, spots are like smallmouth, you know? They're hunting with their eyes. Sun was out, the kind of range you could throw to them was wider. Like they would chase and come to it. Today, it's like they didn't need anything, had to be opaque, has to be like very specific. You have to be way closer with the minnow. Yesterday you could throw pretty close to them and they'd eat it. But it was sunny too, so.
That's just because the sun's out. They have a better vision because there's more light, so they can see things better.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, deep down in their soul, a spotted bass wants to chase and kill stuff. You know?
Yeah.
Man, Darren, you guys are choosing violence over there, it sounds like. Meanwhile, I'm up here with Jimmy Mason and Brent Crow, and they're just steady catching a limit. They got unofficially 12 pounds they're estimating, and they caught their 5th one right as we pulled in, and doing Brent Crow and Jimmy Mason things on Smith. No doubt we're in the back of a little pocket, and they're being a little sneaky about what they're doing, and I don't think they were too excited that we pulled up, but we're giving them some room. And they just
hey, I pulled up on them at Pickwick. I pulled up on them too at Pickwick, and they looked at me like, "Boy, you better get on out of here." I was like, "Hey, I'm out. If you want me, you can take that up with Kate. I don't know. You can. I'm out of here."
Well, you know, at Pickwick, they did not have the tournament they wanted to at all there, so they might have been mad you were around. They thought you were bringing them bad luck, you know.
Well, they need to start showing me more love, you know. Luke, here's what Paul Bork. I actually don't know the names of the two guys. I don't know if that was Paul or not that was talking, but whoever was just talking out of that group was very, very descriptive, and that's what you're hearing the back end of. I think Kate just said that was Paul. Very good explanation and kind of breakdown of what he thought was going on. Yesterday with it being sunny, he said he actually used a really cool, tactic, but he said when the sun was out, you could see the fish under the docks, and however many fish were under a dock, he would use that to know how many fish are in that area. So he's like, if I was seeing and catching a bunch of fish under docks, I knew there was a lot of fish in the area. I'd pull into another spot that looks very similar, no fish under the same kind of docks in the same kind of pocket, not get any bites in the other area. So pretty cool to use that as a rule of thumb to find them. But he said now today, with it not being sunny, they're not condensed under that dock. They're just spread out all across this pocket. A little bit harder to catch. You have to pretty much land it right on their heads. Whereas he said yesterday you were catching more fish because it was sunny and you could make wider range of casts. They would come chase the bait more. That's what as soon as you got on, he said deep down in a spotted bass's soul, he just wants to chase a minnow and kill it.
They are mean. There's no doubt about that. If they got as big as sharks, we wouldn't be able to walk down boat docks.
Man,
you wouldn't be safe on an inner tube. They'd chase you down.
No.
Be like those great whites on Shark Week that eat those seal dummies when they pull them by on those big offshore boats. Be a lot like that when you're trying to ride a jet ski across Smith Lake if those spots got that big. I like to chase stuff.
Luke, another thing I wanted to point out is I'm glad that you were the first person to mention that it's a little chilly today, because I've been thinking that for quite some time this morning, but I didn't want to be the first one to say that. You know what I mean? It's one of those tough guy kind of things.
Yeah.
You got to hold that back until somebody else says it, and then you can follow suit. I want to just follow along with you and say it's chilly. It's chillier than I expected it would be this morning.
I understand I am not enough of a man to admit, to try to act like I'm not cold right now. Me and Brenton was actually I saw him physically shaking while he's trying to run the camera, and I said, "Are you cold, young man?" And he said, "Absolutely." And I said, "I'm with you. I am too." We're both. It's just that Alabama Bass Trail weather, man. It just happens to us. And unfortunately, Mother Nature has something against Miss K. I don't know what the deal is. It may be us. We may be the black
issue
cloud.
was, I think this is our 5th tournament of the year, I think, if I'm counting correctly. And I think I was the first to say it was cold for 4 of them. So I had to hold this one off and like pretend like I was tougher. You know what I mean?
Yes, I get it. And this is one where we thought it was going to be like 70 degrees, you know, all week. I'm like, yes, sir, it's going to be nice. And you know what, though? It could be worse. We were actually looking at the weather forecast for Monday and Tuesday here in Jasper. The lows in the upper 20s, so just like low 50s, upper 40s. So we did indeed dodge a bullet with the weather today. So I'm gonna quit complaining.
I'm not. Hey, Luke, I did see a few minutes ago, the last I'd looked at the tracker, that Craig and Wesley had ran really close to where you're at, or where you were recently. Did you see them, or?
Yes, they're running and gunning, man. They are hooked up. Jimmy Mason hooked up. There's a lot going on. I hear a lot of splashing. I don't know, but Brent's not even moving for the net, so good fish. Jimmy and Brent will see. They've got 5 in the box. We'll see if it cools. Boats right there.
I rolled up here, kept
That
going.
That fish was getting with it, man. He was sloshing around
which
back there. I thought it was a great big one. Good fish. Looks like we're gonna go into the box to see if it cools.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us what you got.
Matt,
yeah, we'll
just
get an update from you, see if it calls real quick.
Yeah, we got a Matt Lee joining the party, but Jimmy Mason just caught one. Man, we're getting out cold beams. It's happening. I think we're gonna see what happens here.
I pulled up on boat 13 is Lawrence and Holden, and compliment of the morning, I got up, started trolling towards them, and they thought I was Darian, and so I'll take that as a compliment. I mean, I will have you know it is a little brisk, and I do have a beanie on because I am officially bald, and Darian's got the most prettiest comb over you ever seen. So the fact that they would think that I'm Darian
other than Scott Martin.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I mean, Darian and Scott Martin.
Like
I mean,
Scott Martin.
My goodness.
Yeah, that's it.
But these guys, yeah, I pulled up. I think they've caught like 30 maybe this morning, and they're actually fishing back in a creek, a pocket, but they're not all the way like back to where the water's coming in. It's out in front of it, and they're really using the forward-facing sonar, but back in, you know, this creek, this pocket, and it's the first boat that we pulled up on that was using the forward-facing sonar and fishing up in my neck of the woods, like back in a creek. And they caught 1 3-pounder, and they caught a bunch of fish. And they actually, I think they said that they maybe seen one boat this morning, so they've been here all morning. And it was another place I pulled in that, you know, I fish a lot. I'm actually about 2 miles from my house as the crow flies right now where I'm sitting, so it's, you know, pretty close to home, and this little pocket's good. It's just one of those things about Smith, like, if you were to ask these guys before today, they would probably say, well, there might be 4 or 5 boats in here with us. But they are in here by themselves in a place that I really wouldn't have thought they would be by themselves. And they're looking at a ton of fish. There's a ton of little spots, but he has mentioned there's a school of 3-pounders that are swimming around that it's just like a cat and mouse game. I mean, they're schooling a little bit. It's not just wide open right now, which he said they caught a couple on the spook this morning. It's just a timing thing. They could come up here in a minute for the next hour. But it is one thing on Smith I will say is a lot of times, not always, but you'll see on the forward-facing sonar like a school of 15, and I would say 9 times out of 10, those are little fish. And then you'll see a school of 3 or 5, and it'll be those bigger ones. And for me personally, like, you know, a lot of people I can tell, maybe they can tell the difference between a 2.5 and a 2 3/4 on their forward-facing sonar, but really, fish size changes so much on how, not to get too technical, but if it's swimming left to right, you know, parallel to the boat, it's going to look bigger than if it's swimming away from you. And so a lot of times you really can't tell by the size of the blob, just to be honest, on there. And you're covering a lot of water, you're panning left and right all the time, but you can really tell if there's 3 of them and they look like they, you know, they don't look tiny, they're usually a better fish. But if you see 12 of them, usually they're not all, you know, a score 3-pounders, but they're just in the middle of this pocket. It's probably 200 yards wide, and they're out a little bit deeper in that, I mean, I say deeper, they're in that 12, 15 foot. Probably the ditch is more in 15, maybe 20. And where this morning I was in that 8, 6, 4 foot range. So, you know, maybe there's something to it. They're obviously catching, I would say, more fish than when I looked at Kiker and Willis earlier when I was talking to them. But I'm sure they're catching, you know, a lot of those slot fish and barely overs, but it's just, they just have to run into that school. And usually when you catch one too, it's hard to throw back and just catch another. Like if you catch one out of that school of 5 and it's a 3-pounder, you're just gonna have to find a new school. And they just swim around in little wolf packs, and they're, you know, we're watching them throw the spook. Yep, and I'm sure my service is spotty where I'm at, but yeah.
Matt, I need to make sure you understand that Brent Crow and Jimmy Mason just said I was good luck. And so I need you and Darian both to understand that 2 of the stone cold fish catchers on the Alabama Bass Trail actually thanked me for bringing them some luck. We saw them catch 2. They finished out a limit. They cold. And so, you know, they may need us to hang around a little bit. I don't know. These were 2 of my picks to win this week when we did the podcast, me and Miss Kay this week. So no pressure. I guess that's like telling a guy in the NFL you put a bet on them. I don't know. Like, I can put money on you this week. You better perform. But there aren't 2 guys that know this lake any better, and we're glad to be spending some time with them this morning. Brent, I have a question that came in from the Facebook comments. They want to know, do you always use a pawpaw seat? That just came in from Facebook. I'm not sure who's on there giving you a hard time this morning, but they saw you lean back.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, he says. All right, there you go. That's how he fishes so relaxed and catches them all the time. He's just kicked back.
It might as well be a permanent fixture.
He said it's a permanent.
No net, so we're ready.
Y'all have no net?
No net.
Well, I noticed when Brent hooked up, when we first pulled in, there was no rush for the net, and I was like, well, is it a good one? Then he flipped it in. I said, well, that's a pretty good one, and nobody moved.
Yeah,
No net.
confidence right there.
Confidence, they got no net, and the butt seat in.
I don't like nets, because when you pull the net out, it's like, hey, it's over here, we got one.
Is that confidence, or did somebody forget the net?
No, I don't have one.
Just don't have one at all. Brent says no net in the boat. Well, they did not forget it. They're going to make a move. We're going to make a little move too, guys. I think we're going to move with them, and I think we're going to check back in with Darian.
Luke, my buddy Houston Calvert, our buddy Houston Calvert would say, if we're catching them, we don't need the net. He thinks that there was a time in Houston's life, and he rubbed off on me, that if we're catching them, specifically on a bait caster, if you brought the net, you actually would not catch as many fish than if you did not bring the net. And he was so hot, he was so, you know, on this theory that it was a big deal. And I'd say, we bringing the net? No, we ain't bringing it. We'd smash on them. And I don't know if that was real or not real. I don't know if there's any science behind that strategy, but hey, it worked. we've got another guy on the pocket right over, and we're going to get a first-hand look at, is the left side better than the right side, or is the right side better? Because this guy is fishing just as slow as these guys are. So I'm going to hop right on over here. Let's see what's going on. I don't see his blue ribbon yet, which means he may not be fishing ABT. We got two phoenixes just hauling the male out of this creek. I don't know if there's a fight back there, or I don't know what was going on back there, but they just both decided to leave at the same time. I don't see a blue flag on here. I don't think he's fishing the tournament. I don't think he's fishing the tournament. He's just fishing. I don't know if Miss Kay, if you can hear me, I would love to toss over to you so we can go chase some more folks down. But while I'm waiting on that answer, I will say that we've got. It's beautiful out here. I think that's one thing Luke was talking about earlier, is how pretty it is right now. Normally we're at full pull, but this lake, they do draw it down in the wintertime, so as the water's coming back up, you can see the underwater stuff that you normally wouldn't be able to see. When you come here in the summertime, it doesn't look like this. A lot of this bank, is underwater. And so to see it right here as it's filling up always is really pretty, because you do get to see some of those smaller little bluff walls and big chunk rock banks that you just don't see in the summertime when you come and go swimming and stuff, or boating, or whatever you're doing in the summertime. You don't get to see this. So anyhow, Miss Kay, I'm gonna throw it back over to you and go chase some more guys down. And oh, look, our guys are hooked up. We just left them too early. That's a little one. Anyhow, there you go, Miss Kay. There was our last fish catch. And now we're done.
All right. One of the things that you've heard Wesley Sam say, you've heard Matt Lee say, that we are about a week away from this lake really being at its best catching capacity. Looking on the bank, I'm looking for dogwoods. You know, we're about 2.5 weeks away from Easter. So I'm looking for dogwoods, because that's usually a sign in Alabama that it is the perfect spawning time around here. So a week and a half away from this lake really being on fire. Seeing those dogwoods up on the bank is one of the things that's very important when you're looking at a lake like Smith Lake, where you do have a lot of clear bank, rocky bank, and things like that. When we can start seeing those dogwood trees come out and start blooming, that's when I start getting excited about getting out there and possibly sight fishing. I'm hoping that we'll be able to get back to Damian Willis and Tyler Kiker to see if they were able to capitalize. Based on the trackers, they have not moved. Again, there are a couple of trackers that have not updated in the past hour. They are probably in areas like Matt, where the service is a little bit sketchy or shaky in those areas, so they will not update if they cannot get a good signal. So I know that Luke, Darian, and Matt are out looking for new people to cover. We've seen some really good tactics. The way that guys are fishing right now is slow, and so we are staying with teams a little bit longer than we normally would, but this is perfect mid-March type of fishing. When you start getting in some of those bedfish, a lot of the herring are spawning, they're chasing that herring. So that is what we're trying to show you today. Every tournament is going to be different. You're going to go to the Tennessee River, you may see 3, 4, 5 pounders caught on a regular basis. Smith Lake, you're not going to see that, but if you're going to see it, it's going to be this time and in about another week. So we're going to go ahead and cut to a commercial break. We'll come back, get you caught up while Matt, Luke, and Darian are repositioning, getting on new teams, but we're going to go to a short commercial break. We'll be back in just a minute. You're watching the Alabama Bass Trail North Division, Smith Lake, Jasper, Alabama. We'll be right back.
Live coverage of the Alabama Bass Trail is brought to you by Garmin, Power Pole, Big Bite Baits, Mountain Dew, Yamaha.
Phoenix Boats, our passion for fishing is obvious. Whether it's a pro event or fishing with our family and friends,
We truly love the sport of fishing.
that's why our goal is to make every single Phoenix boat that goes out the door the best fishing platform it can be in both design and construction.
We love to fish as much as anyone, and we believe it shows in every boat we build.
Phoenix Boats, built by anglers for anglers.
Here at Lanners McClarty Chevrolet, it's time to pick your offer on a new Chevy Silverado 1500. That's right, pick the offer that's best for you. Choose rates as low as 2.9% for 72 months, or how about up to $12,000 off all Silverados? They have the best selection in years with over 500 pre-owned vehicles available. Big store, big on savings, and big on customer service. Visit LannersMcClartyChevrolet.com.
Some things ain't worth keeping. Yesterday's traditions, today's adventures, tomorrow's memories. Now that's something worth keeping. Fish Alabama and find your keeper.
For more information, visit fishalabama.org.
Things you let me see. Things you let me see.
I grew up in the South. I love it here, like I love the homemade taste of Jack's. Right now, get our Bacon Ranch Big Jack. All beef patties, crispy bacon, and yeah, homemade ranch. Get the Bacon Ranch or our classic Big Jack starting at $5.49 with fries.
Welcome back to Lewis Smith Lake here in Jasper, Alabama, the Smith Lake Dam. That's what you see now on your screen. 225 teams signed up for this event, 219 fished today, and I think about 210 parked here at the dam. Thank you to Linda Lewis, the Chamber of Commerce of Walker County, all of the volunteers that showed up early this morning. Boat check started at 4 a.m. and they were here to help our anglers get in the water, get parked, and get ready to go fishing. This is only the second stop. These guys paid for this event back in August of 2023, and this is only the second event of their year. So they were here early, they got in the water, and they were ready to go. Thankfully, the weather gods worked with us today. We did cool off a little bit, but no fog, no rain. Everything is looking very fishy out there today. So I did want to just recap to you that Brent Crow and Jimmy Mason report that they have 5 fish in the box for about 12 pounds. Typically, Brent and Jimmy are really close on their fish. They don't small eye their fish. They're usually pretty close on that. We did have Willis and Kiker. They have a 5 fish limit in the boat. We did talk to Taylor Thompson and Garrett Sanders. They're from Georgia. They reported they have 5 fish in the boat. They said a small 5 fish limit. So not really sure what that means at that time. The last time we covered Wesley Sams and Craig Daniel, they had a 3 fish in the boat that would probably go somewhere between 9 and 10 pounds, we're speculating. Got Dalton and Charles Spears. They have 3 fish in the boat. And Paul Bork and Josh Stevens, boat number 175, they had 1 fish in the boat. We did see them catch a fish as we were leaving just a little bit ago, but it did fall in the slot, so they were not able to keep that fish in the boat. So Ryan and Fisher and Niall, we believe they have 2 fish the last time we checked on them, but we hopefully will see them. I know we have cameras in the area where they are, but I do want to remind you that if you are, whether you're shopping fishing, whether you're shopping sportswear, tennis shoes, bass fishing, archery, whatever it is, baseball, that's what I typically am in Academy shopping for. You can get $10 off of your next $50 purchase by signing up for the SMS messages through Academy by texting ABT to 22369. Make sure that you do that. You can do that every 30 days. It will reset and you'll be able to get that $10 coupon. So there you go, 22369. That's what your number you're going to text, and just text ABT. So thank you guys for doing that. Academy is one of our great partners here on the Alabama Bass Trail. There's usually a stop, an Academy stop, every time we go to an Alabama Bass Trail event. So we appreciate their partnership. They've been with us since the second year on the Alabama Bass Trail. So we appreciate their partnership and looking forward to my next trip to Academy. Hopefully it can be for me this time and not Jake. So I will give everybody a quick update on UAB baseball while we don't have any fishing going on. They won a game against Lindenwood University yesterday. They have another game today at 2 o'clock, and then they'll finish up the series tomorrow at 1. So thanks everybody who always questions me about UAB baseball and how Jake is doing. I appreciate that. I know Matt is set up on a team doing a little dock fishing. We're going to try to get out on the water. Matt, if you're ready for us, tell us who you're with.
So we are watching Don Spencer win. And for those of you that don't know, if I had $1 for every time they took my dollar out on Smith Lake, they are, when it comes to fishing Smith Lake, I don't know how many days, hours, they make Wiggins look like it's his first time on this pond. They are a couple that fishes here all the time, tournaments all year round, night tournaments in the summertime. They're awesome, and they're good people, but on top of that, they absolutely make me look like it's my first time bass fishing a lot of times on Smith Lake. So I've seen them this morning. I wanted to make my way up here and kind of see what they're doing, check in. They said they had 3 fish so far this morning, but I told them I have my money on them, so no pressure. But he's hooked up right now. Over the cable, of course. Over the cable too. Come on, get it. And show that one off to the camera. And just how they, and just, are they able to get my, they got the audio, we still up and running on the audio? Oh, yeah, just so you, as bad as I hate to admit it, just how dialed they are is that I asked him how their morning's going, and he said, well, let me get on the other side of the dock over here and I'll catch you one. And I think it was his, it was his first throw. Yep, first throw on the other side of the dock. And he sets the hook and they catch a good one. I feel like if...
Didn't you know that?
What's that?
He's got a name.
I know he does. I know. That's why my money's on y'all. I feel like if you don't win, then you just letting somebody else win or something. You're just taking it easy on them. But he did say, I'm going to come on, let me go to the other side of the dock and catch one. His first throw, he just caught a good over, and yeah, he's, they've, how many days do you think that y'all have fished on some, how many tournaments, including just little jackpot tournaments, fruit jar, have y'all fished on Smith Lake?
Well, fish 4 a week. We've been married 50 years.
So they fish 4 a week. They've been married 50 years. So whatever that, we'll get Luke Duncan to do that math. My calculator on my phone won't do that, but.
See why I can't catch any fish? I'm hung up and he won't go get me.
Oh yeah, I know. He didn't want you to make him look bad on TV, is what it is.
Catch him doing one like that, he can tell that I'll be hung up all day long.
I always you gotta give him a hard time about being the net man, you know, because she usually in most of those fruit jars, she's gotta catch the big one. But yeah, they spent a lot of time out here. They know she make the joke about him being named, but they might as well be named. I think Spencer told me he's caught 2 9-4s out here, and that was his biggest one, and he's caught 2 of them, and they were both 9-4s. I mean, just, they do have them named out here. That is for sure. I don't know. Honestly, I just, I won't give Luke the credit, but somebody added it up, maybe 10,000 tournaments, which I don't know, the number sounds kind of low. Luke, I wasn't knocking on you. You know I'd never do that, but
I heard you, man. I heard you. You knew I went to county school.
Yeah.
You knew I went to county school.
Well, I knew you're a big
right.
Tennessee guy, and I don't know, you know. I mean, you are a volunteer, you know. I mean, and I knock on them Tennessee boys, but yeah, they. And I would say, you know, I don't know. I wonder with.
Brent, do I need to slide back towards the bank?
Do y'all think that with the conditions like now on Smith, I mean, you would probably rather it be tough. Like, it's probably. What do you think about the way it is fishing right now? Like, if you had to pick 1 month to have a.
From now till last April, anybody can come out and catch fish.
Yep.
Well, we got the advantage when it gets off the bank, nobody can fish and pick, but we can fish.
Yep.
Right now, it's just any normal fisherman can catch.
Yeah. He was saying that I don't know if I'm sure nobody can hear it, but he was saying about, like, I would think for them having so much history here, like for instance in the summertime when it's 192 degrees out, you know, we'll have a afternoon and night tournament, and it'll be a 3-fish tournament, and they'll have 12 pounds with 3 fish in a short little tournament where it's hard to even catch one. So really, with their amount of history here, this is not fishing in March with the water coming up and stained. That's not, you know, in their favor, because you can go down the bank and get bites, and there's you know, people are catching them all over. So it does, you know, that is a factor for them. As a lot of people could imagine,
You're right. This time of year,
tough.
that local advantage kind of goes away, right? This time of year, just because the fish start to get up on the bank and do their thing, and you can land on the right little 100-yard stretch and get rich in a hurry on this pond.
Yes, and I would say, like, somebody. It's kind of hard to, like, I would say somebody like Jesse Wiggins, you know, a lot of people know that he stays with me and fishes out here, his brother, and everybody knows about the Wiggins, and he fishes a lot of, you know, he just burns down the bank, and there's not a lot of, like, I don't know, it's a different kind of fishing on Smith. The way that Donnelly and Spencer fish is, they have a lot of little I mean, they know that, like this dock that they're coming up on, they know that 8 times out of 10, the second week of June, they're going to catch a 4-pounder on the second. They got just like one cast places that just good ones get when it's really tough, and that makes it that you do not want to have a tournament this time of year if you're that that person as far as local advantage goes. So, but they got 4 fish now, and so it still doesn't mean that I don't think they have a chance to win, but they it's just not in their wheelhouse. But I mean, they catch them so good when there's a professional tournament coming like the end of June here, and it'll be really tough then, and that's when they make you rethink life decisions out here in the summertime, I tell you.
Okay. Listen, Matt, we just got, Brent Crow said if we want to see a bunch of them get caught, follow them. So we got to make a move. We're going to leave it with you. We get the goods like that. We got to chase.
Yeah, go, yeah. Tell them, hammer down.
All I heard, that sounds like a lot of fun to me too. Matt, we've made it over down by we're back by the dam now, and we've seen several guys kind of fishing more main lake stuff than we saw all day, fishing points, fishing swim baits, little live scoping going on. A lot of it's just like fishing deeper floating docks off points and just stuff right off the main lake, right in, first couple of boat docks right inside the first points. Kind of standard, like this end of the lake stuff. These guys have got one over and one under.
Spencer Lynn.
I do.
Yeah, I'd say that's who I'm following. I don't know if you were able to your run around or whatever, but I'm following
I heard that little segment. I love the fact that he called his shot on that one. He said, if you want to see one, wait till I get on the other side of this dock and I'll catch him for you.
I promise you, he did. And I was like, it's not like I'm going to be like, yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, sure enough, he did. I mean, yeah, what is down at the dam? Are you still you're pretty close to the dam? Or got people, you were at the mouth of the lick earlier,
I'm directly across from the dam now. I don't know what this little pocket, big pocket or creek is called, but the Smiley Face House, I'm at the pocket with the Smiley Face House.
Got you. Yeah, they still guys out there are you seeing schooling activity down there where you're at?
Yeah, so when we just left in Lick Creek, actually that's what our camera guy Noah was talking about, is he said as they were fishing the bank, they were literally schooling at his trolling motor, and he's like, man, I know that they obviously want to know about this, but we can't say anything to them. But he said they were going crazy right at his boat, and he just couldn't do anything about it. But we haven't seen anyone fishing for him, I'll say that. What you're talking about, we haven't seen. Now, I will say one interesting thing, that last guy we talked to, I don't know if I just don't know this guy, but Paul Bork, I believe how you say his name, that's who we were covering. Very intelligent fish talking guy. He broke things down very, very professionally. But he mentioned what you were talking about, how he said there's a lot of fish, if you can get back in some of these flatter pockets in the very back right now, if they've got bait pinned up in there, you can get right quick. They're schooling and you can catch some big ones. He just is from North Carolina, and he's like, I just don't know which ones to run. So I feel like I'm wasting time going back there and looking for them. But I guess he had some luck in practice doing that. But but it was like you said, you went to the one pocket that you were in earlier with Kiker. It was like madness in there. You go one pocket over, you said you thought they'd be doing the same thing, and there was nothing. So definitely, these guys, they catch. So anyhow, kind of, I guess that's not just a local knowledge thing, because even that pocket you went in, so you're like, I figured they'd been doing the same thing in here. I guess it's just a timing thing. Whichever creek, or if those flat backs of those creeks the bait pulls in, that's where they'll be at.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's kind of that's the part that intrigues us about fishing, because it doesn't matter where you're at. You could be on Gunnersville or Smith or wherever, but you still, like timing, it just you're still putting the puzzle piece together. Like you don't know a certain spot's going to be good at a certain time. Like sometimes it just surprises you, and that's what the thing about North Carolina is. It makes it that much even harder. I mean, to know and to break down a lake in limited time. And I was kind of curious as the boat track. Like a lot of times you'll have fish you'll see a lot of topwater schooling activity, but as the boat traffic gets, you know, worse, and you're in that area where there's a lot of running around, because the way Smith splits up, for those that don't know, you've got to go a long ways to get any, you know, you can't just, it's not wide open. There's turns, fingers, you got to run. And that area down at the dam gets a lot of back and forth traffic too. So a lot of times it keeps them down, but
what's crazy,
go ahead, yeah.
No, I was going to say what's crazy is, dude, I haven't seen anybody run today. We saw them wide open this morning, and I was just thinking of, like, we're at the spot, like you said, where the three rivers meet, and there's nothing. Or three creeks meet. It's weird, but a lot of guys just fishing the bank, fishing very, very slow. That's kind of the main thing that we're seeing.
He said, I'm going to show you how to flip a jig. That's what I like to do. I thought, funny thing is like for me, I always want to watch them fish, you know, because they spend so much time out here. But normally it's kind of frowned upon. I can't come out on a Tuesday night or just follow them around and watch them, you know. Like, you don't want to be that guy. But now I got a really good excuse to just follow them around and watch them, because I mean I'm doing quote on the water coverage out here. So yeah. I mean,
that's the same thing.
I'm just doing my job.
I thought the same thing this morning following Craig and Wesley. I was like, I kind of feel weird about doing this, but Kay, if he says anything, I'm pointing my fingers at Kay. I'll point both fingers at Kay. Go talk to her. Don't get mad at me. I'm just a messenger. I want to hear what Luke Duncan's got going on. Luke, Jimmy says he's going to catch them, and y'all just pulled up, huh?
We just pulled up on another spot, yeah, and a lot like what Matt's saying is normally, you know, if this was a regular tournament, I feel like Brent and Jimmy would be ready to fight me for following them, right? Because they're very secretive guys. But when Brent Crow and Jimmy Mason invite you to the next spot that they say, if you want to see some fish caught, follow us to the next spot. That's rare for everybody that knows Brent Crow and Jimmy. That's something you don't get thrown out there to you very much. So anyways, we made a short run, and there's several boats in this area where they're at. But he looks like he's, you know, Brent obviously very dialed with live scope. He's had it since the original Panoptics days, and he'll get to running around. And actually, he just threw his hands up at us that they may not be here, so he might have called his shot too early on this one. We haven't seen him catch a fish here yet. He's actively buzzing around trying to find them on that trolling motor. But that's the coolest thing about getting to do live coverage. You know, I'm lucky to get to do it a lot of days of the year, and whether it's in a studio or out on the water, and just watching the decisions anglers make, and watching the way they break down an 8-hour tournament day, you know, those decisions, the techniques based on the conditions, and watching them adapt on the fly. I mean, it's such a cool thing about live, and with Kay doing this and the ABT, and you know, there aren't a lot of team trails that do broadcast live, so it's a really cool look. And Brent said this is kind of my no deal. He just gave us the thumbs down on this spot.
Man, that's depressing. I thought one thing too is kind of not really talked about, what was mentioned earlier, but how good the anglers are. Like Darian has fished with so many pros in his, like, Luke, you did this full time as, like, you're you know, retired pro, whatever you want to say. You fish with all kinds of people, but still we're out here giddy to watch some of these anglers that are out here fishing this ABT, because, you know, also because we're just fishing nerds, but at the same time, like, these anglers that are out here, you know, that's a reason that he just missed one back. But these anglers out here are I mean, you'd be tough to find some team series that have the quality. I mean, these guys are legit, you know, and that says a lot that you got, you know, us three that are excited as we are to like follow these you know, these teams around and how good these fishermen are. They don't, I mean, they do not leave the stone unturned, and they're going to catch them if they swim. So it's, you mean, you win this out here today, you are doing something, because you got, there's not just people out here just randomly winging around. I mean, there's so many people that they don't miss. I mean, some good.
Now listen, to win on this trail,
he just flipped
Matt,
a jig.
you know, you know the crowd in this group of anglers, they're amazing, and Jimmy Mason hooked up out of the back of the boat right now. Brent was scoping around, and Jimmy said, "I'll take that." They have no net.
One thing too about Donnelly and Spencer is they don't have forward-facing sonar, and they might try some new stuff, but they are old school that catches them. Like Spencer will have jigs tied on that look like it came, like it's a mop jig you throw in Tennessee River, and you're like, what in the world? You're catching them on that, you know? But he just flipped it. He's flipping a jig into some trash and a run-in in the back, and he just had one that was hung up for a second and came off. But I mean, that's another thing that's fascinating is that they don't use, you know, that forward-facing sonar like everybody else and still catch them. That just tells you how good they. So he said thumbs down on that spot, Luke, and then he caught 2 in a row.
And then Jimmy caught 2 back-to-back. Yeah, we got the thumbs down, and now they haven't helped them. You know, we saw on their last spot they made a little bit of an upgrade right when we pulled up again. So the first time we pulled up on them, they put their 5th one in the boat, then they coaled. Then the second stop we made with them, they caught one really quick, and they upgraded by a 1/4 pound or so, they said, and now 2 that did not help them on back-to-back casts. So, and this is a spot that they thought they were going to catch a lot of numbers. So we're just kind of hanging back and watching. And Jimmy caught both of those out of the back. While Brent's looking on the front looker, as people like to call it in Facebook comments these days. The old front looker.
I'm about to holler at Spencer again and ask him about that fish. What is it? That one just didn't have it, like just nipped.
I didn't hook him. It was a big one. It swirled on it. I thought he had it. I set the hook on it. He wasn't there. I'll probably come back and see if I can get that fish.
Yeah, so he just told me that he was flipping a jig in a trash pile and a run-in, and he once again he called it before he went over there. He said that I'm about to go over here and flip a jig and hook one, and yeah, he did go over there and flip a jig, and he did hook one, but it got tangled up in a limb in the trash pile and come off. But he said he flipped in there and he saw it swirl and came off, and he said he might come back and see if he can catch another one out of it here in just a little bit. But it looks like you're heading out and going to keep moving, so we'll probably keep moving too, and then check back in with y'all when we get stopped.
Once I get my limit, that's what I'm going to be doing the rest of the time.
What are you doing letting Jimmy catch those behind you? Listen, he snuck up on you with 2 back-to-back right there real quick.
Yeah, he said he fixed to get us another bite on it.
I just told him on live, I said, Brent just gave us a thumbs down, and then they caught 2 back-to-back. So I said, I don't know what to believe at this point.
Well, all the shad out here 35, 40 foot deep in these clouds. When it's sunny, they're up here feeding.
Okay.
I got a video I'm going to post of them eating herring. But they ain't out here in there.
So they're down a little bit further than you want them to be.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I was afraid of it, but I had to check. There were so many. I mean, I didn't even think hard to do.
We appreciate y'all letting us tag along for a little bit.
Absolutely. We got to ride.
Gonna make another move.
We got to do some culling.
Crow and Mason, they got culling to do. Good stuff from two of the favorites here on Smith Lake. I'll pack the Phoenix up, move on down to the next spot. I'm sure they're going to get a bite. 3 in a row there. Incredible. Brent's got a lot of hours on this place. And I believe Miss Kay is going to join me from Smith Lake Dam there in the ABT Mobile Studios. Miss Kay, hope your morning's going great. We're having a lot of fun out here on the water.
It is, it is. We're going to let you guys go ahead and get moving, try to set up on some more teams. I do want to report Damian Willis, Tyler Kiker. I just got a text message from them. They said they are between 12, 13 pounds is what they estimate that they have. That probably means 15 pounds if I had to guess. So, but we will say that Jimmy Mason, Brent Crow, boat number 20, and boat number 196, Damian Willis, Tyler Kiker, are kind of running neck and neck in that 12 to 13 pound range for your unofficial leaders. So Wesley Sams, Craig Daniels, they had 3 fish in the boat for almost 9 pounds, we estimated. Again, 5 fish. We did have one other 5 fish limit. That was boat number 161, Taylor Thompson and Garrett Sanders. So that's what we're looking at. We've got Darian is set up on another boat, so we're going to get back out on the water to him. I just wanted to give you an update since I did get a message from Damian to let me know kind of what he thought they had in the boat. And again, that's a pound or 2 off every time with Damian. So we're going to get back out on the water. Mr. Darian?
Yes, I'm hearing that our signal's not great in my ear, so hopefully we can be able to stick through this. But we're on boat number 150, and they got 2 fish. So, but they're grinding. They've got, I see a minnow hanging. It looks like it could be just a fluke, maybe fish in the bank. I'm gonna get in a little closer and chat with these guys for a minute. So were y'all able to get up here and practice any?
Yeah, we did.
How was practice?
Did good.
Yeah? It's tilted. You think it's got a little colder, or what do you think's the deal?
I don't think that's usually, I think, well, yesterday you had dingy water because of all the runoff.
Yeah.
Today it's cleared up, so.
Cleared up overnight, crazy.
Oh, yeah. So that kind of hurt us.
Yeah. So were y'all largemouth fishing in the runoffs?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
By the time yesterday we had 9 pounds with 3 fish.
Dang.
Today we got about 3.
Yeah. Wow. So that's one interesting thing about this lake this time of year is you can get on a pattern. Matt Lee was talking about that earlier, but how this lake will clear up so quick that if it rains like Monday or Tuesday in the week, you can forget about it by Saturday's tournament.
Yeah.
So it's like almost, it's one of those, in the spring, it's almost weird to practice here for a while because if you're on that pattern that y'all are on, it clears up so quick.
That's right. You always catch them in the dingy water, so I mean, now it's clear they won't bite.
Yeah. So was this creek dingy yesterday?
Some of these fingers were.
Gotcha.
Where the runoffs are.
Gotcha.
They didn't get out here in the middle of this state, kind of in the pockets,
yeah.
in the little creeks. Bite's been tough today.
Yeah.
And we were catching on moving baits yesterday. Today, no.
No, not today. I just got a text from Kay that says y'all are from Altoona.
Well, we're from Ackworth. Right there.
But y'all fish Altoona?
At Altoona, yeah.
Okay. We covered another team just a few minutes ago that's from North Carolina. Y'all from Georgia. It's cool to see all like different states. I forget how many. Every tournament I have to ask Kay how many states it is.
Oh yeah.
But there's so many people traveling from everywhere to come fish the ABT.
I know. A long ways.
Yeah.
See, y'all out here, you know, is a little bit different. Y'all are obviously catching some.
We have seen some fish on bed.
Really?
Some good ones. They won't eat.
They won't eat. You think they're still a couple days away from getting right?
It seemed like those fish are right, but they didn't.
They just wouldn't eat.
Those two good ones on the bed, they're rolling and everything.
Really?
When they show their belly, they usually eat like that.
Wow. I'm getting told in my ear I'm losing cell phone signal, so we're going to pull off y'all and good luck.
I'm going to tell them who I'm with.
See, man.
121, Duncan and Duncan. Yeah, I just pulled up out here with Duncan. Is it father-son?
Well, I'm an alternate for him. His son Isaac, they were fishing. They
Okay.
fished together.
Well, what's your last name? Oh.
Worley?
Look at that.
I'm Will Duncan.
I would have felt bad I distracted you. See, maybe I am good luck. Maybe Luke Duncan isn't the only one. Yeah, just ignore me. Do you think?
Y'all doing good.
I just pulled up out here. This Duncan and Duncan from Mississippi. Will Duncan and Isaac, but I asked if it was father-son. Well, it turns out it was alternate. And I was asking him his name, and then he hooked up exactly as I was talking to him. And it's one of those where you don't want to get in somebody's way.
You work the expo, see if you can sell some Mercury motors. So pick Rudy up.
Rudy? Is that's your name?
Yes, sir.
I got you. I didn't want to get your name wrong on TV, you know. I asked him his name, and as soon as I did, he's looking at me and set the hook and caught that fish. That's one of those where I'd feel really bad if he's like, he looked at me and thinks toting it off and missed it. But it's something a little bit different because they're out fishing brush. Real flat. This is a Goat Island area of the Ryan Creek. It's real flat, has a lot of flat points that come off with brush that people put out. It's been here, and they're out here fishing brush piles and scoping, and they said that they've done a little bit of that, like fishing brush piles and doing the live scoping thing, and not something that I've really keyed in on a lot up here. People fishing like them, that's why I pulled up, was it's easy to go. It's March, the water's coming up. There's a lot of people on the bank, but then you see a boat out fishing off, and did y'all say you did have a limit, or?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they do have a limit, and and they just caught one right as I haven't been here for just a second, but I did got a couple waypoints right here. Actually, in the summertime, this is good, but I'm sure like post-spawn, pre-spawn, both. I haven't fished it as much in this time of year in March, but they're catching fish. Got a limit. They kind of mentioned on weights. Kay was touching Darian, everybody, but to me, if you would have asked me before, that a lot of people have that 13, 14 pound. Not that any of it's easy to catch, but that 15, 16, you get above the 3 pound average, it separates you, I feel like, a little bit, but it could take, the Wiggins brothers had over 20 Saturday, so you just really never know, and especially in March with the water coming up, somebody can get right in a hurry, and there's big ones here, and they're obviously biting, and it really makes me think that it's gonna, I'm not here to just add fluff and talk about how it's gonna take massive weight, but it's gonna be high teens and then 20 something to win, and people can catch it in the last 45 minutes or throughout the day, but this guy's here from Mississippi. Ole Miss or State fans?
I'm actually from Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
I'm a Vols fan.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, I was hating on Luke Duncan earlier, but I ain't gonna. My mom went Tennessee, but I'll talk trash about Tennessee if it's to Luke Duncan. But I mean, I really ain't got any quarrels with them.
Oh, they're trash anyway.
I think it's actually the weather's been like. Luckily, we hadn't had a bad cold front here, but it is not one bit of sunshine today. I mean, you talk about an overcast. This is about as overcast as it gets, but it's not. The water's not cooled off just because it feels like it's cooler now than it was. There's the same temp as when we took off, but you know, they love the sunshine this time of year. There's no doubt about that, but not having nights in the 30s helps, and I don't think it's, you know, having warmer nights helps more than probably not having the sun today, I would think. With that water coming up, yes, it would probably be unreal if it was just a bright 85-degree day today, but I think it's really not bad conditions for it. I think it's more like it just makes Darian and Luke cold, but it really doesn't affect the fish because the water temp's not going to cool off much. 62, I mean, you're pressed to find water in the 50s out here right now, and that's it's supposed to get cold, I think, the beginning of next week. And it's weird because we had that big storm come through yesterday, usually followed by like high winds, post front, but I think it's supposed to storm again tomorrow, so it really, last night, the low was only like 51, and today we've had real light winds, so it's, you know, if the tournament was Tuesday, I think it would be like a post-front cold, like, it might slow down a lot, but we've hit this. Kay touched on that, too, like the weather has been, I mean, it's been as good as you could hope for, and there's a lot of boats up here. I really think that these guys doing something a little bit different. It's cool to see, but we're going to keep looking. I'm kind of interested. I know the coverage doesn't go all day, but I'm interested to see how the bite picks up on the bank as the day goes on. You know, I saw Spencer. When I pulled up to Spencer and Donna, they had 3. Saw them catch their 4th. Saw them lose their 5th. It seems like it's just constantly, I think it's going to just get better as the day goes on, and yeah, I think it's going to be somebody at the end of the day is going to, and it is tough to stay with it all day and just, you know, no matter how tough your early morning is, you got a small limit, it changes in a hurry, and can out here. Do we have anybody else on the box right now? Is everybody? Yeah, we want to make a little move and find some more shallow water fishermen. Find somebody up catching a big largemouth, and so we're gonna sneak off a little break. We're gonna get a little break in, and then we're gonna go find some big ones. When we come back from that break, maybe we'll have a nice 5-pounder to show y'all. But thanks for tuning in. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We'll see y'all in just...
The Alabama Bass Trail, brought to you by Halo Fishing, Net Bait, Bait Fuel, Snag Proof.
At Phoenix Boats, our passion for fishing is obvious. Whether it's a pro event or fishing with our family and friends,
we truly love the sport of fishing.
That's why our goal is to make every single Phoenix boat that goes out the door the best fishing platform it can be in both design and construction.
We love to fish as much as anyone, and we believe it shows in every boat we build.
Phoenix Boats, built by anglers for anglers.
Here at Lanners McClarty Chevrolet, it's time to pick your offer on a new Chevy Silverado 1500. That's right, pick the offer that's best for you. Choose rates as low as 2.9% for 72 months, or how about up to $12,000 off all Silverados? They have the best selection in years with over 500 pre-owned vehicles available. Big store, big on savings, and big on customer service. Visit LannersMcClartyChevrolet.com.
Nobody wants to run out of power when they're on the water. There is a better way. Introducing the Charge Marine Power Management Station from PowerPole that does the work of 3 devices: a traditional battery charger, a charge on the run, and an emergency start system. PowerPole Charge.
Let's go!
Ooh, I love it.
Let's go. I think we should get some more.
Let's go!
And she got it good too. T-balled it.
Let's go!
I love it. Cheers!
Let's go.
I grew up in the South. I love it here. Like I love the homemade taste of Jack's. Right now, get our Bacon Ranch Big Jack. All beef patties, crispy bacon, and yeah, homemade ranch. Southern style. Ain't no other way. We're good, hard-working people serving great food.
Big game today.
Big game today.
Good luck.
Come on in for our Bacon Ranch Big Jack or get our classic with crinkle cut fries starting at $5.49. Stop by and say hey.
Hey.
I'm Donna Davis, and I am all about the South.
Welcome back to the Alabama Bass Trail, Smith Lake, stop number 2 of the Alabama Bass Trail North Division. We're going to get out on the water, get a wrap-up done. The Bush Light wrap-up. Darian, talk about who you've covered and what you've seen out on the lake today.
Well, we started with Craig Daniels and Wesley Sams. Probably the most exciting part of the day was the fact that as soon as we pulled up, we chased those guys through blast off, which, by the way, I must admit, we haven't been able to do that this year. I haven't been able to in coverage. I was driving the boat this morning. I was running with the guys at blast off, running that thing like it was, Matt even said it earlier. You get in that feel and you got these boats passing and it was like, it felt real. But to pull in, and by the time that Craig and Wesley had got back to the back of that pocket and we got set up on the camera, they were already catching one, and that was the big one. And so I'm excited to see what that fish ended up being. I'm going to say it was close to 4 pounds, and another one that was around 3 pounds is my guess, but it could be off. They have a big one that he broke off on. He was the bed that he was fishing at or pitching at was around some big rocks, and he hung his bait up on it twice and had to break off his bait in the bed twice. I'm anxious to see if he goes back and catches that fish. He said it's around 6.5 pounds was his guess. And so if he can land that one, obviously that's going to be a huge deal for his day. Other than that, there was a lot of just beating the bank, and it seemed to be pretty slow. But the cool thing, and like Matt said earlier, I'm excited to see what weigh-ins looks like, because all the guys are saying yesterday's tournament was better, or yesterday's practice was better than today is, but the fish are still in the area. Every single person today feel like the fish are still in the area by the number of bites they're getting, by the quality they're getting. It's just more random and spread out, whereas it seems like yesterday they had more of a defined area. I guess with the sun being out, they said it was putting the fish in tighter places. And so going to be very interesting to see if they can figure out how to catch those fish they were catching yesterday, and then who can get over that 15-pound range. That's going to be my guess of where we've heard of some 12-pound limits today, so that's always like a good smaller threshold, but I'm going to say over 15 pounds, I bet we're still going to see some, especially if you're seeing some bedfish. We heard 3 or 4 different guys today said they found bedfish that were locked on today. They just hadn't bit yet. So Very interesting. Smith Lake in the spring with the conditions that we've got, it's always a good time. And Matt Lee knows a lot about that. So Matt, tell us what you saw over on your end of the lake over on the Coleman side.
Yes, it feels like we've been out here for 20 minutes and 6 hours all at the same time. We focused on the east side, the Ryan Creek arm, just like you said. It was a little bit chaos trying to get out in front of the traffic this morning. Duncan started with his rendition of the anthem. I started to feel the juices, and we were off and at 'em. We've covered Kiker, Wilkes, we've Tomlin Brothers, Lynn and Lynn. We've seen a lot of this side of the lake, and it is generally going to be more up in a creek, kind of dirtier water. A lot of people keying in on those pockets and those run-ins. Obviously, with the rain we've had, the water coming up, that was going to be a factor. Like Darian said, it's been. You see everybody have a little bit of success, but I still think that the best is yet to come. I think that there's been some schooling fish, but whether people were, I saw Spencer Lynn flipping in a trash mat in the back of a pocket. We've heard about big bedding fish. People, in the springtime, that afternoon bite is crucial. And whether this sun really comes out or not, I still feel like there is going to be more big ones caught from now to weigh in than there has been from the start till now. And it's going to be exciting to see. It's a lot of different things that played, right now on Smith Lake, and a lot of it is working. What's going to take the cake, take the win today, but awesome event, great weather. It's March, Alabama, Smith Lake, Alabama Bass Trail. It's this is awesome. Great anglers, and it's cool to have this many anglers out here that are that skilled, and to see who comes out on top and what they end up doing. And it was a cool insight. Hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did, listening to Darian, Luke, everybody with their different views on the lake, different areas of the lake they're covering. And I'm excited to see how it all shakes out here in just a little bit.
Matt, we appreciate you joining the broadcast team, filling in for Jason Duran today. It's been awesome hearing your expertise on this lake. We know you've got a lot of man hours out on this pond, and so it's been enjoyable for me just to listen to your takes on what's going on. And then I got lucky today, in my opinion, getting to run around with Brent Crow and Jimmy Mason. Brent's one of the just local hammers on this lake, and the conditions, Matt said the weather is good, and it is good, but you can see I'm bundled up way more than I should be. We've talked about it all morning. It's just like a damp cold this morning, so I don't know if that's got some of these bigger fish kind of in a funk this morning because it's been so beautiful all week. But I do agree with Matt and Darian. I think the best is yet to come. Who can maybe find a couple of those bigger largemouth bedfish up there to add to their limit? A team like a Brent Crow and Jimmy Mason we saw with over 12 pounds. We saw them cull a couple of times while we were around them. But it was interesting. Brent said really he needed that sun on the last spot where he called his shot that we pulled up with him. He said, you guys want to see some fish, get ready. He said those fish had been in there on herring. He said when he pulled in with live scope, he noticed that all the bait was really sucked down to the bottom with these clouds, and the fish were not up, so he couldn't get them to react to the bait that he wanted to get them to react to, that he called them on yesterday. He said he's got a video he's actually going to post on his social media very soon to show exactly what was going on yesterday and the day before out here. He said it was incredible. So I do think best is yet to come. This weigh-in will be absolutely awesome at Smith Lake Dam. If you're anywhere close, come hang out with us, bring you a lawn chair, and come on out. I promise you're going to see some big spotted bass and some big largemouth here on Smith, as we always do. And it's such a great facility there, always a good time. So we look forward to seeing everybody there starting at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Miss Kay, I'm going to let you close this thing out and get ready for an awesome weigh-in.
Guys, I appreciate your time out on the water, and I know our fans do too. I wanted to recap a couple things because you heard the word herring quite a bit. Usually in Alabama, you're talking about threadfin shad, you're talking about gizzard shad. There are a couple lakes in Alabama that do have the blueback herring, and Smith Lake is one of them. It was introduced probably 6-7 years ago, and what a difference it has made in this lake. So people have really had to learn to fish Smith Lake very differently than they did, say, 10 years ago. And I know Jesse Wiggins has said several times, you come down here on a Tuesday, Wednesday when there's not a big tournament going on and there's 25, 30 boats in the parking lot. So it has really changed how Smith Lake fishes, and it's changed the perception of Smith Lake. So we're excited to be here for our 11th year to be here on Smith Lake. Very excited to be here. I did get a text from Wesley Sams that they have filled out their limit, 5 fish for about 12 pounds. Same with Damian Willis, Tyler Kiker. They're between that 12 to 13 pound range. Brick Crow, Jimmy Mason, they're sitting in that 12 to 13 pound range. Those are 3 teams that we had our eyes on. There's a lot more teams out there, guys, and they are bank beating, and you do see some that are out on the main lake. So it's going to be interesting to see what the weigh-in holds when we get here at 3 o'clock. Before we get off the live, I do want to send out a shout out to Mr. Dalton Head. He is a University of Montevallo Falcon. He is fishing the Red Crest down at Lay Lake, his home lake, and the last I checked, he was in 4th place after the first round. So congratulations to him for not only being at the Red Crest, but for making the day 3 of competition. So that's exciting. We'll be back here on AlabamaBassTrail.org at 3 o'clock, also on Alabama Bass Trail Facebook and on Alabama Bass Trail TV on YouTube. We'll be having 219 teams, I think, took off this morning, and we'll be having the weigh-in. Please come by and see us, say hello. We'd love to see you out here. If you're interested in seeing our new The Big Daddy Fish Care tanks, I'd love to show you through those as well. Y'all have a blessed day, and we'll be back here at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Have a great day.
This live coverage of the Alabama Bass Trail has been presented by AmFirst Credit Union and sponsored by This live coverage of the Alabama Bass Trail has been presented by AmFirst Credit Union and sponsored by Phoenix Boats, Landers McLarty Chevrolet, McGraw-Webb Chevrolet, Jax, Garmin, Rapala, BMC, Crush City, Pro Guide Batteries, Mountain Dew, TH Marine, American Baitworks, and Sweet Home Alabama.